The 680 News Business Center, Mike.
13 o'clock. So you make all the stories in the morning, so I'll just turn that down. Thanks, YouTube. Thanks for completely destroying any possibility we could create something useful here for you or for us. Yes, you've spent 20 minutes destroying what could be an hours of advertising, but it's not now because you're fucking retarded. I know, I'm black. I knew that, but until you heard me say that on a video, you thought you would pay money for being a YouTube creator, and then, we forgot to tell him about the rule that black people don't get nothing from YouTube. And now we have to put up with active interference. What was it, 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago? 120 videos in a row with no sound. Thank you. Is it my mic? No, because then it just wouldn't work at all, would it? Yeah, it decided. So when it's allowed to work, it works almost 100% of the time. So if you want, you can sit through this for another 45 minutes of nothing with me.
Park, you go from Parkdale to Queen West to Riverside and Leslieville to Danforth, Uptown, Young. So it's sprinkled across
fucking following me, dog? The fuck?
Geography really, even though we're a city of neighborhoods, proximity, people have their favorite bakery across town that they will go and visit. So geography in this case is really not a hurdle, if you will. The idea is to support local. How Main Street goes, so goes the rest of the neighborhood.
Well, they're supposed to be leaving the hood and taking your money out the hood. You're supposed to be supporting my business here in the hood.
Is what we're seeking to return the city of Toronto to.
What kind of response are you getting to the Buy Toronto campaign? And are you hearing from locals that are now frequenting those businesses more often because of the signs?
Well, again, we've just...
So we'll point some out here. This is going to come down to the sign people. People to put a sign in their window. I know I borrowed $500,000 to put the other business out of business, and this is my last chance to make money to pay off my student loan for George Brown, but I have a sign. So the signs used to say that the people in Attawapiskat shoot the dogs and kill the dogs and stuff. So we have to rescue these dogs and give them to good white people and take them away from these dirty Indians.
And thanking us.
Hey, it's the same sign. It's right next to the shop local sign.
John, the threat is real.
Yes,
at risk here, as far as the city is concerned, if we don't save our Toronto businesses, the local independent small businesses?
Well,
that's not
small business across the country, Toronto is the largest employer. In many cases, small businesses are the first opportunity that many immigrants come to this country and open a local business. They invest their life savings to.
What he just said is true, but remember what that means. The people moving to Canada are people that have scratch. You know what that means? They've got them competing over limited resources that they can buy or rent or whatever to start a business. It means that if you're just a regular guy that, I don't know, software programmer or burger flipper, you ain't coming to fucking Canada. That's how it works here.
Rolling along our high streets, or Main Streets, being active.
Our Main Street, nigga, you know what Main Street is, you fucking dickhead? There ain't no businesses out there.
People you've become dependent on for many needs, and I venture to say that Main Street will not likely be what we remember it to be.
So there's a horrible story where four people, there's a child is the lone survivor of a horrible car thing in London.
We will fill those gaps, but right now, these small businesses need you more than ever.
Yeah. I appreciate your time, John. Thank you so much for
bringing
to light what this Buy Toronto Time campaign is all about. You'll see those red signs, the tombstones all over the city. And please do your best to get out and support your local businesses. They really need you, and you really need them at the end of the day. Thanks so much, John.
Okay, listen, I'm a little bit morbid and dark, and my last name means from the graveyard. I still don't think you're going to encourage business by putting a tombstone in your fucking window, eh? Hey, speaking of small businesses that have been going out of business the last few years, funeral homes, yeah. They're all restaurants now.
Experience a premium lifestyle tailored to you. To make plans.
I guess we got 12 minutes to fill with nothing. I'm not 20 minutes late. I'm 20 minutes early. You're just on the wrong cycle. That's all. Yeah, so, do I ruin it? Is it ruining it? So somebody smashed a car into some people, and they are all dead except for a child. Oh yeah, not cool. Like, well, it's one of those things. This is. I just said this again yesterday. We get random shit. You know how many people are hearing this story going, at least the kid survived. You know, like
the train was about to hit another on a parallel track. The Star reports there is a disagreement over what caused the near miss. The TTC says it
why
was
do you report what the Star reports?
But the union representing workers says it was the subway's new signaling system. The TTC's new signaling system was operational where the miss occurred between St. Andrew and Osgood stations. This is 680 News. Now the 680 News Shot Spotter Scarborough Health Network called
Shot Spotter, you may remember that brand name because they make some sort of microphone system that they put on the street corners, and if it hears a gunshot, it reports to the police, because what they're finding is when there's gunshots, everybody doesn't always call the cops. They were talking about a train and 2 trains in Pakistan getting derailed. I don't know what this story was about, but I have been complaining about the new signaling system, because the new signaling system will not allow the trains to go any faster. The trains can do 100 kilometers an hour. They are not allowed to go faster than 50 because of, hey, remember about a month, maybe 2 months ago, we heard history of the 90s. The train collision that tore up a whole bunch of people and killed 3 of them in horrible ways. Yeah, so what the signal system is intended to do is when there's a train at one station and there's a train at another station, there will now be a train sitting in between. So they're all waiting all the time. Here's what they didn't plan on. Apparently, they didn't plan on other trains being in the system. That was the first I heard of this. The other thing they didn't plan on is the train moving through the tunnel is what draws fresh air into the tunnel and pushes nasty air out of the tunnel. So yeah, you won't have any fucking air in the subway, but they'll be able to fill the system to double the capacity it has now. They will consider that to be handling twice as many passengers, even though it won't be. Oh, and they have spent millions and millions of dollars upgrading these signals in a year where we have a $2 billion shortfall. The amount we're spending is $14 billion. And the amount they're collecting from all their revenue for the city is $12 billion. It's a $2 billion deficit. We pay out a net every year of $10 billion in GST to the feds that we don't get back. Net. That's not including what comes back. And they keep shutting down the subway system the last like 3 years to do this, because we need this. It's like this KPT or whatever, where they're putting they're blocking off lanes in traffic to put tables and shit out there. So all these sick people can be running back and forth across the sidewalk all day, and no matter which way you go, you can't fucking breathe. Because there's no wind in this fucking city, except when you're trying to walk somewhere and the bus ain't coming and it's wet and cold, and then there will be wind. It'll be about 119 kilometer an hour gusts. That happened this year, and it snowed 2 weeks ago.
That's north of Wilson.
If you don't understand why I make these videos, this last 2-minute rant should let you know I got some shit on my mind.
Ready and accessible with a Medical Alert bracelet. Sign up today at medicalert.ca. Next report at 9:31, and with the extended forecast, here's Jill Taylor.
Yeah, heat warning continues for Toronto and areas that will have highs in the 30s and overnight lows in the 20s. So areas that meet that.
By the way, I don't know how true this is, but I saw a thing the other day that says Tim Allen, whatever, got busted with a pound of cocaine in the 80s trying to get on a plane, and he snitched out his dealers. I didn't know that.
Showers, isolated thunderstorms.
But if you were in the cocaine business in the 80s, if you got snitched on, that's your fault, because you're stupid.
Especially as we
I know we all saw the TV shows and thought it was cool, but it wasn't.
35, 28 on Wednesday, but we'll start.
And if I knew that when I was little, you should have known that as an adult.
Clouds, scattered showers and thunderstorms for midweek.
Of course, I trust you not to snitch on me, man. We're like blood, and they'll take your whole life away if they catch you if you don't tell on me. So of course I know you won't say. This is why people get killed.
Mostly cloudy at 680 News.
Not thinking ahead.
Guaranteed high 31.
And because we did not miss the weather guarantee over the weekend, the jackpot climbs to $13,700.
Now, put that into perspective. They said it was 32.8 degrees. They predicted 33, and it hit 34.
But we're following breaking
They were
news
a
out of
degree
the
off.
city where police say a vehicle struck a group of pedestrians last night in the city's northwest, killing 4 and injuring 1.
6 City News Time 9:23.
Food deliveries, online shopping, and homeschooling.
Like, okay, somebody's thinking here, but the province-wide stay-at-home order was lifted earlier in the week, but there's still limits on outdoor gatherings. So people have been told, don't gather in groups. There were roughly 200 people in attendance on Friday night. It took the cops until like early in the morning to, I believe, break it up, and they received calls around 9:30 in the evening that there was this party going on from neighbors that live around Riverdale Park. And, they had to go down and waste police time and resources trying to break it up.
Shut up,
No
bitch.
one was ticketed, which boggles the mind, really, because there's got to be something that you could ticket people for, gathering without a permit, something like that.
So you got to wonder, who is telling these officers don't ticket anybody? Who's telling them that? Somebody is telling them not to. Riverdale Park, where so it used to be the north part of what commonly gets called the Don Jail, is properly called the Toronto Jail. It's been knocked down for over a dozen years. They find the bodies underneath Riverdale Park. That's soccer field, running track thing, where they used to, because they used to hang people. They used to hang children at the Don Jail. They used to hang children at the Toronto Don Jail, and they find the skeletons in the fucking ground, and they don't know who these people are because no records were kept. And you're worried about people ruining your property value because you're partying. So I used to live right on Riverdale Park, and they sold the house I lived in and destroyed the fucking unit I was still living in and all this other shit. But that man was so old. He's probably dead on a ventilator right now from COVID. So I don't feel so bad about it, bro.
I mean, Wasaga Beach, just a nightmare over the weekend.
White people everywhere.
Major mess at the beach. Just, I'm watching video of that was posted online.
Oh, because you're just harmlessly watching.
Beer cans, tables tipped upside down. There were,
This is not a problem. Beer cans are worth money, and somebody's going to go scoop them all up and get themselves a 2-4. And those picnic tables, they weigh what? Like 2 pounds? This weighs about the same as a picnic table.
Visit TryToronto.com. Time 9:26. Now the business report with Mike Apple. What are we expecting today, Mike?
Hey, Paul, we're expecting a good start here. Bottom of the clock coming up. The TSX will open the day above 20,000 for the first time ever. Hit that milestone Friday at the close with a gain of 87 points. And the energy stocks front and center this morning. Briefly, we saw the price for oil for a couple of minutes at least earlier today at $70 per barrel U.S. for the first time since 28.
Didn't we see it at like 130 a few years ago? Something like that.
places, and you go to the new place. You have to stay one step ahead of them. Because, Dave, I don't think this is going to end. I was telling Chris earlier on before when we were planning the show,
if I tilt it, I'm
this to me is a nightmare situation. Because if you think that just after the pandemic ends that people are going to stop putting together these social media raves and, car rallies, think again.
Raves.
Well, I think...
And car rally. It's a car rally. Okay, here's the problem. They keep using the term car rally for demonstrations. If a whole shitload of vehicles are driving slowly down the road, that is not a car rally, you fucking retard. A road rally is literally a road race. Rally rims? No, you know what I'm talking about? Oh, a whole bunch of student mothers, part of the union, are screaming and yelling about crack cocaine in the 70s. That would be a rally. You throw cars in there, it doesn't become a road rally.
There were many impromptu parties that sprung up when I was in my 20s. However,
but it was accepted. However, we were white.
Handle on numbers. It wasn't something like 400 people, and we also took our.
Yeah, because the world wasn't as overcrowded when you were a kid. Stupid. There were 2 billion people, not 8. You fucking whore.
for people that live in the area.
Get her on the phone. I'll
Like,
say it to her face, too.
Cops should have been. This started basically the message that police sent out at that very first incident at Trinity Bellwoods last summer. The message was, with them not handing out tickets on mass and breaking it up, was if your party's big enough, we're going to do nothing. Because they were ticketing smaller groups, right?
That is how white people think.
This is municipalities and police forces.
She just revealed something.
To gather en masse because they won't.
No black person thought that up.
Big enough because they.
I would have thought up what she just said.
Well, and they should step in when all is said and done and actually do something, because now that they've set a precedent, guess what? The locals are going to eventually either get together and deal with it themselves, which will end up getting violent, undoubtedly. Or
no, he's a white boy threatening. When you hear that, the locals will deal with it themselves, and it will end up getting violent. I've dealt with 1,000 pieces of shit like him. Fuck around and we burning your house down. Fuck around and we burning your house down.
Liabilities.
Fuck around
if somebody
and we
gets
burning
hurt
your house down.
and it's on city property, I mean, there are people that have to go through, they have to jump hurdles to get permits to party on
It's just all
city
blueberries. There's nothing
parks.
holding them up
Carmen,
together
welcome to the show.
except blueberries.
I'm just calling because I don't understand why they're not forced to clean the mess.
Because they're gone.
Oh, they're gone.
I don't understand why they're not forced to clean them. What are you talking about?
They're not even
You get your
ticketed for
ticket
gathering en masse,
and you're off the
right?
hook
That's
for
how
cleaning
people
it, you
step
fucking
up.
whore. There's another stupid
Okay.
bitch.
I didn't.
Yeah, and I totally.
I'm white, and I'm used to telling the cops what to do to these niggers, and they do it. How come they don't do it no more? Because it ain't that age no more, stupid. You ain't been paying attention since about 1981, eh?
I think municipalities and police forces really need to start coming down on people. They need to be a step ahead of people because this is going to be the norm. I don't want to sound alarmist, but I can't see how it's not going to be the norm. I mean, I was, in my 20s.
I can't see how these people aren't. Those people, I can't see how they won't act as I can remember when I was. You hear this white fucking rhetoric.
Spontaneously. I'm one of those people. I love them more than a planned event. Hey, Jane in Etobicoke.
I'm cool and young and hip too. No, you're not.
Oh my gosh.
That was the fucking 70s, you whore.
Having my breakfast. I live down by.
She was high on coke, so she thinks she was cool. Hey, how's your dealer doing? Let me guess. Her boyfriend was going to be a lawyer, but he's serving time in Colombia. Her dealer's still chipping 20 pieces on Yonge Street like it's nothing.
Check in at the French Open booked at 45. TSX starts the day above 20 grand for the first time. We're seeing the Dow futures up 50 points.
Oh, and the other thing, anytime when the DJ is still like they're finishing the last word of the sentence and the caller comes in instantly, that's pre-recorded shit, man.
This report brought to you by Friday Harbor, getting word of a new collision on the eastbound 401. OPP saying that right at the 407, the left lane is now blocked for the collision. Second time we've had a problem right in this area this morning. The MTO not quite able to spot it on the camera from Trafalgar, but they can see delays building east of Trafalgar to the 407 now, where that left lane is reported.
Oh yeah, surveillance stayed up there.
Approaching from Winston Churchill to east of Mississauga Road, as a break in this stretch of volume is now forming with that collision happening.
Shit, was that
delays
five in there?
Into the 400 in the express mainly. Westbound 401.
That was a free mother.
In the express, and then from Mavis in the express to approaching Mississauga Road, also a bit of a delay through Trafalgar. And then just volume on routes into downtown. Southbound 404 Don Valley, that is slow south of Finch to south of Lawrence. Eastbound QE Gardner delays Trafalgar to Ford Drive. And the eastbound Gardner doesn't look too bad now heading into downtown. We have a closure of Jarvis in both directions from Wellesley to Isabella. That's because of a collision. One vehicle is on its side. And northbound Jane is closed north of Wilson from Exbury to Troutbrook for another crash. Get away to Friday Harbor and get back to the things you love. Clothing-ready townhomes and condominiums. Friday Harbor, come for the day or a lifetime. Friday, I'm in love. Next report at 9:41, and with the forecast, here's Jill Taylor.
Heat warning continues. Hot, hazy, humid, a chance of showers, isolated thunderstorms, and a gusty southwest wind today. The guaranteed high 31 will feel like 38. Partly cloudy tonight, chance of showers 21. For today, the guaranteed high 31 degrees.
All right, in downtown Toronto right now, we got a sun cloud mix and 25, although factor in the humidity, and it already feels like 31 degrees. And we got those same conditions now in Pearson. 680 news time, 9:33.
And we have some breaking news from west of the city. An investigation is underway in London where multiple people are dead.
You won't get away with things in London.
Hit pedestrians last night.
And 6 City's Laura Carney is following this for us, joining us live now with the latest information, including an arrest.
4 people are dead and a child is in hospital in serious but non-life-threatening condition. London, Ontario police say these 5 people walking in the northwest part of the city around 8:30 last night at Hyde Park and South Carriage Roads when they were hit by a vehicle. 1 woman was pronounced dead at the scene. Another woman, a man, and 2 children were rushed to hospital. And now we know only 1 of the children survived. Police wouldn't comment.
Also, a man child, the child that looked like a man that wouldn't grow up, and a woman that thought she was a man, and a man dressed as a woman. Right?
He is 20 years old. He is a London man. He is currently in custody, and the investigation is ongoing. Members of our major crime section, as well as members of our traffic management unit, are currently on scene.
No word yet on charges. I'm Laura Carney.
So I'm going to tell you something right now. He won't do more than 3 years.
After demonstrators tore it down on Sunday. 6 News' Carl Hansky's at the downtown campus with reaction.
The toppled statue of Egerton Ryerson has been removed from Ryerson's campus here downtown. All that remains now is the concrete base. This man was here last night when demonstrators pulled the metal statue down.
It's gone. There's no way it doesn't come down either. There's no way. It was really powerful. And it's all righteous. It's all justified.
The university says the statue will
not be
replaced. Egerton Ryerson was one of the architects of Canada's residential school system.
Architect.
The empty base.
He's an architect. Can't just say designer. Because the architect. I'm gonna say he come up with this or he engineered this horrible plot. He's an architect. You're still bigging him up. What the fuck is wrong with white people? Yeah, but he's such a great architect. What the fuck is wrong with you? Hey, do you know what screws up buildings and ships? The architects, not the. Do you know the difference between an architect and an engineer? You pay millions for the architect, then you argue to find an engineer that will build what the fucking architect came up with, eh? You know what they don't study in architecture school apparently is physics and
And today we are going to see that number climb. 2 more groups of people can start booking their second COVID-19 vaccine appointment today. If you are 70
5 minutes past the half hour, and that is the number.
But do note, some public health units using their own booking system may be accepting younger bookings. For example, York, which was the first unit to take appointments for those 70 and older. And if you had your first Moderna shot on or before April 18th, you can also book your second jab through the province as well. Now, this step forward to a 2-dose summer comes as Ontario sees more shots in arms and case numbers drop.
So Walmart just purchased 740,000 Samsung phones to run an application called Me at Walmart. That's right. MEAT Walmart. MEAT Walmart. You are Walmart meat. Do not remove your tracking device or we'll find you.
While we're turning the corner, I think we still need to keep our eye on the ball in terms of making sure that we get vaccines in arms.
The latest.
Why? What's the connection between the two? Australia and China already said that ain't gonna help. China did their whole lockdown cleanup thing with no vaccines available. Then they invented vaccines. Russia invented vaccines. You people want to be allowed to cough and spit in niggers' faces and then blame the nigger when you test positive later. This is what they're doing now. They're mad because 6 months ago, when they started saying black people make up 18% of the population, but 27% of COVID cases, 50% more than what should be proportionally. They're mad that when they said that, how do I phrase this? We're not all just dropping dead. I thought the stupid niggers would all just drop dead. They're all getting sick. Yeah, they reported that we know what you're doing, and you took it to mean it's working. Hardly. You want to know how we survived them things? 400 years of no health care.
Meantime, is out of the highest alert level, allowing gyms to open. In-restaurant dining and even high school students are heading back to in-class learning. Kevin Meisner, Queen's Park.
You're listening to 680 News. Well, you're going to have to sweat it out for the next couple of days with a heat warning still in effect for Toronto and most of the...
You're going to have to sweat it out. Again, false narratives. Just keep repeating to us how horrible our lives are.
Good morning, Steve. Good sweaty morning, I guess.
I remember all the lies they told to get me on the psych ward was just to get this funding for these agencies that have space in the building now, where they get the millions of dollars in capital funding from the feds and the province to buy air conditioners for their offices, but they won't flip the light switch that controls the fans on. Hey, remember, it's a mandatory part of the building envelope, the structure. You're not allowed to turn it off ever.
It will become less humid though by the time we get to Wednesday.
Yeah, Jill says by Wednesday evening things will cool down a little bit, and then Thursday and Friday we'll see overnight lows in the teens, which means it'll be significantly cooler.
So the little bastard mice figured out they could climb up into the jars and eat my grape seeds. They've torn up every plant I got.
Coming up in 30 seconds, we'll find out where the price of gas is going.
6:30 news time, 9:39.
We're in expired food. We're taking all net as we have them, but there was a pandemic, so we don't want to go back there. No, we do not want to go back there. Kim Farley, Vice President, TD Wealth, and host of MoneyTalkGo.com.
Which is useless, but I'll tell you that TD Asset Management could be our trustee for the trust accounts. If anybody would listen to me, we got the Canadian money market fund, preferably the Canadian premium money market fund, the US dollar money market fund, which is one fund, the premium and regular units, whereas the Canadian dollar is two different funds, and the TD Canadian Index, which tracks the TSX. There's three funds right there. Our money should be in.
$10 million. And then they asked, of course, the Canadian people for a big, can you help us out with some guys? Because we're hard up.
You see how well she does that whiny shit? Okay, when you point out that that's how white people sound, they argue. Give it to her own device. Hey, give us a whiny sound.
Niggas too young for big mass like Happy Meals, who the best there. Circular blood like we don't text there. In the cut, niggas go what?
Every time I look around, over here, there's things I gotta fix and clean up.
Got no sound, like a vet hearing. I said before I'm a killer. If I drop a P, you'll see this rain like Geller. We was in the East Detention Project bounce, that's out the count. When I used to turn myself in with the ounce. If you from the friend that never would be announced back in 04 when gathering around the house, I was spectate. Nigga, the Sally was playing checkmate. Bleeding out the range, we used to give you niggas headspace. Putting quarter over to get you out on the next day. Blood on my hand, yo bitch, that's how I get laid. Fucking with your shirt and get my priest like He-Man. Like Thomas the Train can't do it, like yes we can.
Conductor,
we can handle this like man, I'm getting some T-shit. Sexual niggas switching colors like beasties. Money that we putting on you, money for free. Who's this shit? When it did once, all I see is the snake ones. The cats that put work in their pocket and got no case from.
I did not say it was going to be a good news day. It's the word good, and then news day is one word. Give one more shot. I will.
I'm from the West End.
I got all first world problems. All first world problems. My dehumidifier comes on and then it won't turn off until it's like full. What's wrong with it? No, I'm an HVAC technician and I don't know what the fuck's wrong with the thing.
I'm from the West End.
The contacts could be welded. No, they're not.
I'm from the West End. Yo, I'm coming straight from the West End. Move from the Jane to the West End. Watch how you talk when you walk through my hood, cause you know that my niggas be pressed in. Heavy artillery weapons, ain't really into the questions. I ain't condoning no violence, these youngins are wildin', they move kinda reckless. Got the keys,
I got 5 Muslims for the price of 4.
A familiar face tax a nigga. Safety, didn't even wanna slap the nigga, he made me. Ain't nobody telling me nothing. I knew from a youngin' that I be the one I hit something. Now all of these rappers is bugging. You live in the birds and you act like you came up from nothing. Shout out to my niggas on the plaza. Lane to connections outside Gaza. When I roll my backwood, better have grabber. Never leave the house without my iPhone charger. Wallahi, my money's will rob ya. Abdi Muhammad Mustafa. African man, that's my barber.
Little bastards eat my rolling papers too, man.
Tell them the truth. These rappers, they lie in the booth. Lie in the booth.
We leave them lying in the
Just
booth.
look at the proof. I'm living proof.
Okay, so when I look up all the time to the window, like maybe 3/4 of the time at least, it's an engine, and the other quarter time it's sirens. But the mic won't pick up all these sounds, so I don't say nothing.
Cause we got the juice. We got the juice. So we got the juice, nigga.
I swear I can hear sirens.
I'm from the West End.
Oh, and if you're wondering, why don't you like get a police scanner or something in their website? You could tune into that shit. Yeah, everywhere but Toronto, where they spent $9,000 a piece to fucking encrypt the radios. Why? Because they don't want us to know anything that's going on. So when things really go bad, they could pretend it's not their fault for not telling anybody. Oh, do you know why they have unencrypted police radios everywhere else? Because the public knowing what's going on could prevent a lot of bad things from happening. This is why radar detectors are legal everywhere but here too, eh? Yeah, when that thing lights up on your dashboard, everybody slows down.
What you saying? I'm from the West End. I'm from the West.
But the anti-radar detector attitude's the same as why aren't they forced to clean the mess? Well, if they were forced to clean the mess, you could not also give them a ticket. You can't do both. You can punish them once, not twice. You have to clean that up, and you have to pay money for us to clean it up. Why? You just cleaned it right. Oh, I live in bureaucratic. What do they call this? A bureaucracy, an autocracy. There's a certain element of technocracy to it, and nepotism, plain old corruption, like bribery type corruption. What else we got in?
Like what you saying? Strip, jungle to the Rex we deep.
We have graft. Sure we do. We have bribery. Breach of trust, breach of duty.
Lose they beaks. Know that shot you with bodies got dumped in the creek. Stop, freeze. What I mean looking for me.
Okay, so I know there's multiple entendres to everything, right? But it's a shotgun. Why would you throw it in the creek? You can't get well, they call it not APHIS, but the rifling off the bullet round. Yeah, we know you can't get the rifling. No, you can get DNA from the fucking wooden stock where it's attached to the metal. Yeah, because it was that fucking close when it went off.
You got that degree. What do you mean?
You throw it in the river, it'll rinse it clean.
You ain't been on the scene. Record is clean. I'm too wavy. Make a your man wanna date me. I got the sauce, gravy. More than they cannot replace me. Cause I'm from the West End. Bitch nigga better watch that top.
It also could be seen as a reference to like another neighborhood, because up here is not Black River, it's Black Creek. And then we have the river is down by River Street.
You find out you top to the cops, so wanna turn hot on your block. I'm from the West End. So you claim you a bad man, but y'all want a bad girl crew. Let me show you what a bad girl do. But you didn't know that I'm from the West End. I'm from the West End. Nigga, what you saying? I'm from the West End. I'm from the West End. Nigga, what you saying?
Please freeze up as much as possible.
So my bank account's empty, and even though the Lord won me all these riches, I too tempted. So just let me get a little man with a simple plan, cause I'm tired of living hungry like a hippo man in a hippie man off the hippie land. I'm on empty, please don't tip me, man. I'm on some next shit, searching for the next hit, dropping bigger than Texas. Never drove an Act Ranger Lexus, straight flexing, throw weapons at your solar plexus. I'm the upper Lexus, come on, let's get it on. No robbing, we still starving. What's going on? Don't beg for nothing, let alone your party, chasing rockets like hard. It don't matter, I'm making thunder.
shit don't look good in this
you unforgettable. That I want to portray my foray and my forte like a horror story. Well, sorry, shorty, inspired by TT to write rhymes again. Got to watch out, hot it's my time again. Like I'm sitting with coke doing lines again. Mine's flying, fucking beat up on my grind again. They want me to sit and wait for miracles.
No, Enbridge Gas uses organic waste to make renewable natural gas, so that fuel could heat our home.
You said the future's all electric.
It's not so simple. New electricity systems are decades away and cost a lot. The natural gas
He just peeled a banana and turned on the microwave. What the fuck's he doing?
Low carbon ways to use it too.
That is smart, just like you, kiddo.
Ontario's clean energy future depends on energy systems working together. Learn more at enbridgegas.com/environment.
Yeah, so that's Enbridge. So I hate the name Enbridge. They came up with that name 97, 98. They're like, it's an energy bridge to the future. If you don't remember 1997, 98, that was Burnt Church, New Brunswick. We were throwing Molotovs back at people throwing Molotovs at us. Yes, those are our boats. Don't touch them or we'll fucking throw you in the water. If you die in the water killed you. So that's the National Gas Company or whatever. And then there's also the City of Toronto. I know, everything's connected, sort of. If you wanted the straight news or just straight music, you'd be somewhere else right now. I just showed this to you last night. Where the fuck did it go? September. It's in September, right? Yeah, so there's a piece missing here. I got it set aside here. But that's the digester. This is the City of Toronto's renewable natural gas program, where they take all your green bin stuff, and that includes, so it's not the best picture, but it's like a graphic of a gas pump that's green. Wow. And I'm not sure what that broken upside down heart thing is. It looks like a ball sack or a flame, a natural gas flame or something. Like, I don't want to see flames on a gas pump. So they take all your dog shit and the production of renewable natural gas, RNG, through the city's green bin program is the environmental benefit of closing the carbon loop by, and there's a bulleted list, capturing the biogas produced instead of flaring, burning it off into the atmosphere. Hold on, you used to burn it off to the atmosphere? You guys are fucking geniuses. Upgrading the biogas to RNG pipeline quality, because let me guess, it used to be made of saran wrap. Now you're using plastic straws, right? Then using the biogas to displace a non-renewable fossil fuel with a renewable green fuel. Hold on. Upgrading the biogas to RNG pipeline quality. Not the pipeline gas quality, the pipeline quality. What was your pipeline made out of? You didn't have a pipeline, you were flaring. At some point, you had a half-assed pipeline in there. So the point is, these people that want to come blow up our land, because somehow they're going to get gas out of it. No, you won't. Scientifically, you will not get gas by blowing up the land. That's not how that works. Okay, we could go into that for hours. We don't have to. It takes about 30 seconds for me to prove it, but I don't feel like having that conversation right now. You know what happens to the Indians that scout out the land for you? Either we pick somebody to be the person so that we are in control of what you're being shown, or that person gets the snot kicked out of them, just like the people that fucking burned down the lobster pounder, threw things at our boats. You think you're safe, eh? You realize where you are is off the edge of Canada, eh? The whole rest of this country and the one to the south and the one to the south of that, and then everything south of that, you're not safe. I'll make you disappear. I'll send your boat on a heading to the center of the North Atlantic and swim back to shore, bro. You don't know who the fuck I am. I'm already dead, bro. I'm already dead.
Jesus hustled for the misfits. I hustle to be the crispest. Wordplay bouncing like gremlin kids at Christmas. Check my list, bitch. String you along like licorice. I'll front you the coke, pot, baking soda. You still couldn't whip this.
Whip it good.
Where's the devil? I need to sell my soul. My bank account's empty.
Cause I'm a Devo.
The Lord won me all these riches. I too tempting. So just let me get a little man with a simple plan. Cause I'm tired of living hungry like a nipple man and a hippie man off the hippie land.
And there's one more level to this natural gas thing. So in Toronto, there is a private waste company that handles waste pickup just for the West End. It's a weird setup we got here. That's GFL. Green for life. Real close. Green for life. Who owns equipment that can build anything, apparently. They own everything from little pickup trucks to fucking cranes that build buildings. That's a company that's under contract to the city. There's another company called Waste Management running around with similar promotional material, whatever, propaganda, whatever, about how their trucks run on renewable gas. They also run ads about they got these like nature reservations somewhere built on top of landfills. I don't buy it. But.
And I'm on empty, please don't tip me, man. I'm on some next shit, searching for.
The news will be just as shitty in 10 minutes, but we'll handle it.
So my bank account's empty, and even though the Lord won me all these riches, I too tempted. So just let me get a little man with a simple plan, cause I'm tired of living hungry like a hippo man in a hippie man off the hippie land. I'm on empty, please don't tip me, man. I'm on some next shit, searching for the next hit, dropping bigger than Texas. Never drove an act range of Lexus, straight flexing, throwing weapons at your solar plexus. I'm the upper Lexus. Let's get it on, no Marvin, we still starving. What's going on? Don't beg for nothing. Hallelujah, Father, chasing rockets like hard. It don't matter. I'm making thunder. I'm still broken as fuck. You know, right? Stuck in that wonder. Fuck this Versace, get this shit up off me. This shit don't look good on this guy. I'm more credible, the opposite, you're more forgettable. Better want to portray my foray to my forte like a horror story. Well, sorry, shorty, inspired by TT to write rhymes again. Got to watch out, the hawk, it's my time again. Like I'm sitting with coke, doing lines again. Mind's flying again, fucking just beat up on my grind again. They want me to sit away from miracles, praying for all these heaven-sent materials. Well, fuck it, can't make it living by the rules, so I'm back to moving O's just like Cheerios and running through your town map, break the stereo. Jesus hustled for the misfits. I hustle to be the crispest. Wordplay.
That's 3 references to
that Christmas.
Believe it or not.
List, bitch. String you along like licorice. I'll front you the coke, hot baking soda. You still couldn't whip this. Crack up, so back up. You get smacked up. I got my pack up, stacked up with my racks up. Leave you ass out like you need to pull your slacks up. Couldn't see them come back with a second punch to play. I came to eat your fucking lunch today. I came for the castle throne in the crown so I can burn all of that shit down. I came to take you down, break that shit down, and send you back to pieces. Moving those packs like Reese's. They couldn't kill me as a fetus when I was at my weakest. Please believe this. I have your baby mama praying to your Jesus pieces. Cause I'm the beast.
Cause I got block. Get some tools on me if you wanna talk shop. Get some fools away from me cause they talk cop.
They talk cop.
Keep your little six, little nigga. I run the dot. Even when I'm OT, my nigga. I run the dot.
Oh, we'll get the numbers in like 10 minutes.
When I'm under lock. Tell every rapper in this motherfucking city that I run the dot. I run this bitch that track and field. Race strikes like you're not the only one packing still. Power couple stand on top of the hill like track and chill. Little niggas too young for big max like Happy Meals. Who the best there? Chocolate blood like we don't text there. In the cut, niggas go what?
It sounds like an angry Corvette out there.
Like a check staring. Nigga said boy gon' die, but couldn't get near him. Silence ain't got no sound, like a vet hearing. I said before I'm a killer. If I drop a P, you'll see this rain like Geller. We was in the East Detention Project bounce, that's out the count. When I used to turn myself in with the ounce. If you from the plan, they never were big enough. Smacking no fire when gather when they ran the house, I was sketching. Nigga, they said it was nigga checkmate. Bleeding on the range, we used to give you niggas headspace. One quarter over to get you out on the next day. Blood on my hand, yo bitch, that's how I get lit. Fucking with your shorty, get my priest like He-Man. Like Thomas and Trent can't do it, like yes we can. We persist, nigga, we keep six. We can handle this like men or get him some cheese shit. You set tripping niggas, switching colors like beasties. The money that we putting on you, money you read with. You see shit. When they did once, all I see is the snake ones. The cats I put work in their pocket and got no cake from. If I'm buzzing, picking no 6 plus, I'll make one. And if that shit don't come easy, nigga, I'll take some. Nigga, I run the dot. Even when I'm on team, my nigga, I run the dot. Nothing gon' change, no nigga, when I'm under lock. Till I can remember in this motherfucking city that I run the dot.
We're gonna lose the audio in about 2 minutes. Watch.
I get money, money I got. Camouflage and drop top, start your pop. I get money, money I got. Getting illegal money, yo, it just don't stop. I get money, money I got. Killer queens be taking it, stay on top.
I thought we got past this part of the playlist. Where the fuck are we in the playlist?
Narcissist.
Money is gas, making it dash. Feel like a flash with that on my cash. Taking it slow, I'm taking it fast. Facing the dash, ripping that ass. Fuck with the cats, I don't fuck with the rat. Throwing it bad while she busting it back. Talking that shit, better watch how you act. You in the game and the place is the set. I know I'm ruby like some missing links. All my bitches small.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680.
Under the beat.
Good morning. This is Monday, the 7th of June. I'm Steve Roberts.
And I'm Sarah Perry.
But it ain't 10 o'clock till I hear that beat.
4 people are dead and a child remains in hospital after being hit by a car in London, Ontario. The driver is in custody. As the province hits a new milestone, more Ontarians are eligible to book their second shot. The latest provincial case data due out in less than 30 minutes.
It's another day of sweating it out.
You're certainly doing your job today, Mr. Sun.
We remain under a heat warning in this city with temperatures not expected to cool down until late Wednesday. And Air Canada execs certainly feeling the heat as they return millions of dollars in bonuses.
Can Montreal make it 7th Street?
So that was a news story a week ago. They're covering this part today.
Sports at 15.
Facing backlash, Air Canada executives are returning their bonuses.
Got all sorts of money.
Texas soaring to new heights.
What did I say? Everything's going to start locking up. You waited a minute past the hour, bro. What's wrong with you? I told you the alarm wasn't going to go off.
Traffic and weather together on ones, and with Toronto's most frequent traffic reports. Hey, good morning, Zach Bodenstein. Hey, good morning, Steve and Sarah.
I forget what outlet it was covered the fact that they got their bonuses.
Kyle was telling you about this crash in the
getting a bailout.
left lane still blocked, and I'm looking at a delay from approaching Trafalgar right now. Westbound 401 slow from Trafalgar to James Snow. Meantime, the eastbound 401 for the rest of it is really starting to improve. Just a delay from Islington to the 400 in the Express, and from Weston to the 400 in the Collectors. Southbound 404 DVP still a busy one from Shepherd down to south of Lawrence, and eastbound QEW slow from east of Trafalgar to Ford Drive. Some good news on city streets. 2 problems clearing. Northbound James now open from Exbury to Troutbrook, and then Jarvis just reopened from Wellesley to Isabella. Looking for the latest Jays buzz? Join
join Arden and Ben on the At the Letters podcast presented by Miller Lite. Visit sportsnet.ca with a look at the forecast. Jill Taylor.
You just ran a pier.
Guaranteed high 31 will feel closer to 38 with the humidity. Slight chance of showers, isolated thunderstorms.
Come to Richie's Speakeasy 24/7. Just don't tell nobody.
Chance of showers and another warm low 21. For today, the guaranteed high 31. But right now, in
I'm gonna be
downtown
bad. I'm
Toronto,
gonna take
this is
influences
sunny
from
clouds,
Dick
22
Tracy
degrees.
and the
60 news time,
Yakuza.
10:03.
I'm gonna get like the acting chief of police to do a spot
London,
for us.
Ontario this morning, where an evening walk has turned deadly after several pedestrians were struck by a vehicle last night.
680's Laura Carney has the latest on the investigation this morning. People out enjoying a warm evening in the Hyde Park and South Carriage Roads area when they were hit by a vehicle. London police say 4 people were killed and a 5th, a child. The lone survivor remains in hospital in serious but non-life-threatening condition. This all unfolded around 8:30 last night. One woman was
Now, this
pronounced
fucked
dead
up thing
at
about
scene.
Canada,
Another
we'll
woman,
all
a
know
man,
about
and
this
2
story.
children
We'll
were
never know that
rushed to
child's
hospital. And
name.
now we know the only
We'll
person
never know what
that
happened to that
was a
kid.
child. Police wouldn't comment on the relationship between the 5. As for the driver, he's a 20-year-old London man.
Right now, we can't speak to anything in relation to the arrest itself or any potential charges. That will be forthcoming as soon as we're able to provide it.
He remains
How many
in
black
custody.
eyes does he
I'm
have?
Laura Carney.
Well, Ryerson University says it will not be replacing a statue of its namesake, which was
My
toppled
grandfather used to work at the hospital there.
680's Carl Hanske's at the school's downtown campus this morning.
Using ropes, demonstrators pulled down the statue of Egerton Ryerson that stood outside Ryerson University here downtown. This man says it was a powerful moment when the statue toppled over.
He's a monster, man. He helped start these institutions that put 215 Indigenous children in the ground.
Egerton
ground,
Ryerson helped
bro.
create
In the
Canada's
ground. Are you
residential
fucking
school
listening?
system. The university says his statue will not be restored or replaced. To these protesters,
Good. It's like a monument to white supremacy, and now that it's down, I mean, there's still a lot of stuff to do, a lot of footwork, but it's a tiny victory.
You're gonna do this
215
every
pairs of
fucking time,
shoes
man.
have been left at the statue's base, representing the 215 children found buried at a former residential school in BC. At Ryerson University, I'm Carl Hansky.
680 News Time, 10:05. Another group of Ontarians able to book their second COVID shots starting this morning. This as we wait to find out the latest COVID case numbers today. 680's Michelle Morton joins us live with everything you need to know. Michelle.
Sarah, 2 sets of people can start booking their second vaccine appointment today. Those who are 70 years and older, but do note, some public health units with their own booking system may lower their age eligibility sooner.
Every time I
like
give
your
up on
region
it.
did,
Oh,
allowing
wait, it's
that age
working
group to
out.
book sooner than the province did.
You guys aren't
And
creative.
the second
If
set
we
of
can see the
eligible
human
people
element
who
in
book are
your
the ones who had their first
attack,
Pfizer or Moderna shot
you're
on or
amateurs.
before
That's
April 18th. Now, as the province speeds up its vaccine strategy, it has hit a new milestone with more than 10 million shots administered
It's not a
today.
milestone. You keep inventing
The
things
president
to
of
be
the Ontario Medical
milestones.
Association told Breakfast Television this morning, with the Delta variant in the picture now.
You know what the
the
word
emergency
kilometer
vaccine
means?
rolled out quicker
Jesus
to get
Christ, you people aren't
Ontarians
paying
fully
attention.
vaccinated. Here is Dr. Adam Kazem.
If we can start saying, hey, you know what, we're going to perhaps reallocate to places where there is
Keep it up, bro.
increasing
Keep
need.
it
I
up.
think that
Every
we saw
time I
that
go
work
to
in the
use
first,
it, yeah.
first
I'll
program
get
where we
confused to
found
think I
the
must have already
one,
pressed some
and I think that
buttons
would be
and overloaded the
strategy for
system.
future as well.
For a week straight, we have seen less than 1,000 daily cases reported in the province. The latest data is due out within the next 30 minutes.
It don't
Reporting
matter. We
live
had it
from
below
Michelle
100.
Well, we're still a week out from the tentative date for lifting some of those pandemic restrictions in this province.
Why?
But with new daily COVID cases still staying way below 1,000 for, especially for the weekend, some are hoping we could be returning to restaurant patios just a little bit sooner.
Most COVID indicators in the province are actually below what was laid out for the start of stage 1 of reopening, which would allow for patio dining and limited in-store shopping. Health Minister Christine Elliott hinted last week that instead of June 14th, we could move into stage 1 slightly earlier, possibly in time for this weekend.
I don't have a specific date. I don't think it would be a week earlier, but it may be a few days earlier that we may be able to proceed.
Another positive sign, there are 498 COVID patients in intensive care. The first time since early April, that number has dipped below 500. Meantime, far more freedom in Quebec, where gyms are now open, limited restaurant dining is allowed, and high schools.
So I said this a year ago. If you end up dying from this, but it takes longer, it screws up their numbers. It makes it look bad. So if you die in less number of days, that number of deaths per day, it goes down faster. And the number of people in the ICU goes down faster. They didn't say how many cases were resolved, did they? No, but for 4 fucking weeks, it's been a huge number of deaths on a 3-week delay. Remember, people in their 30s are going home dead within a day from this shit.
Come on.
Week. It'll take until toward the end of the week before we really get out of noticing that sort of sticky feel. So
what are you talking about? Hey, you dumb niggers, I'm going to explain what humidity feels like again.
Today, tomorrow, and into Wednesday.
You tell us the percentage of the humidity.
Hey. Overnight temperatures. If you person Jill, what that means is you got to stay hydrated, stay inside in the air conditioning if you can. If you're working outside,
in the air conditioning, again, psychologically telling you what you
those who are vulnerable, the elderly, and those who need support to make sure they're okay. Reporting live, I'm Owen Qureshi.
Well, after being condemned by all parties in the House of Commons and major social media and public outcry, top executives at Air Canada volunteering now to pay back their bonuses.
Air Canada says that senior executives have chosen to return their 2020 bonuses.
You catch somebody stealing your petty cash, and they go, "Oh, here, I'll give it back," like they're doing a good thing.
Volunteered to return their bonuses and share appreciation units. Former President and CEO Kellen Romanescu, who retired.
You and I would be in fucking jail.
His shares to the Air Canada Foundation. The statement does not include middle managers.
And they wouldn't just take the money back that we took. They would make us pay more. That's how they do it for the normal people.
Justin Trudeau had both signaled their displeasure over the multi-million-dollar packages.
These are the guys that gave them the money.
In April, the airline and the government agreed to that loan package that includes money to help refund passengers.
Forgivable loans. Forgivable loans.
$1 million until 12 months after that loan is fully repaid. At the Business Center, I'm Mike Apple.
And on the way in just 30 seconds, we'll check the price of gas.
City News.
And the other thing is, the fucking kid, we just got out of owning Air Canada, and now we're in again. Yeah, I got an idea. I'm gonna double check your fucking work, motherfuckers. The fucking hell? It's the same color screen as Tupac's.
Welcome to Environment Canada's Weather Service.
It's not going to work.
Bienvenue au Service météorologique d'Environnement Canada. For service in English, press 1. Pour le service en français, c'est 2. For the city of Toronto.
Oh. We might have
for the forecast for the next 7 days, press 1.
No.
For the hourly weather conditions at 9 a.m. Toronto, Pearson International Airport, mostly cloudy, temperature 25, relative humidity 65%, humidex 32, wind south-southeast 7 kilometers per hour, barometric pressure 101.6 kilopascals and rising. Toronto, downtown, temperature 23, relative humidity 65%, humidex 28, barometric pressure 101.6 kilopascals.
Wait, how is it 32?
Toronto City Centre Airport, mostly cloudy, temperature 19, relative humidity 83%, wind calm, barometric pressure 101.6 kilopascals.
No, you just gave it.
The forecast for the next 7 days.
I want the air quality.
1. For the hourly observation, press 2. For air quality health information, press 3. Updated air quality health index forecast for Toronto, downtown Toronto, north Toronto, east Toronto, west. For today,
5 times.
Maximum air quality health index 4 or moderate risk. For tonight, maximum air quality health index 4 or moderate risk. For Tuesday, maximum air quality health index 4 or moderate
You're
risk.
lying.
Tuesday night, maximum air quality health index 4 or moderate risk.
You're lying.
For the forecast for the next 7 days, press 1. Weather conditions at 9 a.m. Toronto, Pearson International Airport, mostly cloudy, temperature 25, relative humidity 65%, humidex 32, wind south-southeast 7 kilometers.
It's going to be sticky. I don't need to know that. I need to know how do I make them turn the fucking air on in these buildings. The media knows all about this problem. Buildings that have a lot of black people in them, they fucking turn the air off, and then when the place catches fire and the fire spreads, the fire department says, we don't know how it could spread like that. And then the media starts saying, oh, there's reports that tenants had the doors propped open and the windows open. Yeah, because, oh, we don't know why.
Human X of 34, 680 News Time, 10:13.
All right, now time for the Dynamic Funds Market Minutes. And for that, let's check in at the Business Center. And good morning, Carl Garnish.
Well, good morning, Steve and Sarah. Happy Monday. Not so happy if you're an investor. It seems we're hitting the sell button to kick off the trade. TSX is pulling back from its record close down by about 12 points to 20,016. Stateside, Dow is down by about 48 points here. The S&P also getting close to that record close on Friday. It's pulling back by about 8 points.
Airlines to put a sale in front of the consumers to let them know you have to be confident again with traveling, and maybe in Canada, the government has not opened up everything yet. We're still waiting for that signal that is very positive from the government to say yes, you can travel again. But at least it's a move in the right direction. And I know people are taking advantage of those sales right now. And as they do it, they will talk to their friends, they will talk to their family, they will be saying that, we've been missing traveling and we want to travel again in 1 month, in 2 months, or as you said, maybe next fall before Christmas. And all of this is a move towards getting people in the mood for traveling, basically. We want people to feel more confident about traveling.
Is that why you're shitting on us locally around our neighborhoods where we live?
Fully vaccinated?
Well, the seat sales are not going to last for a long time because as any sales, you put a sale.
So the industry's going to go like this over and over and over, like your fucking planes do.
And that will have an effect for sure. I know some people are already taking advantage of those sales, but there is a point where the airline is going to say, okay, maybe it's enough. People are buying again, the seats.
When are you going to give people back their refunds?
We're going to get back slowly to normal levels. So I would not expect those sales to go as long as you might think.
Why are you speaking in English, man? Why are we all speaking in English? Fuck them. Tell us the truth.
Service to several cities, Halifax,
Speak in French, so the white people don't know. The Anglos don't know.
Was this expected now that more of us have our first dose of vaccine and we're hearing that we'll be getting our second dose a lot sooner?
Absolutely, and also keep in mind.
We still have prejudice against black cats and left-handed people in this city. I'm not joking.
For them, I would suggest that it's a good opportunity to enter the market because they're going to be competing with the other airlines that have to go through the pandemic and they suffer economically. Flair is starting from scratch, so they have fewer risks.
Until borders starts flying again, it's not a real business. They own all their planes, so they just park everything. They said, fuck everybody.
Been pushing for the double vaccination, the second shot.
Since they own their planes,
the Canadians are, world leaders.
They're basically paying the least for having planes.
Now it's time to turn to the second shots and get more people vaccinated.
There are no guarantees.
What kind of advisor is it?
We'll be able to freely travel across the country this summer. We have
lifestyle trends or something.
Still barring people from entering.
Culture and arts. That's where this guy belongs.
In Manitoba, you also have to quarantine. If travelers have to cancel their flights.
Yeah, by the way, I can't leave my province. You're talking about flying places. Get the fuck out of here.
Before July the 1st. You might have to pay like $25 if you're flying with Flair Airlines.
And there's no more Greyhound buses anywhere in Canada.
They're willing to take the risk and suck up the cost if they can't travel because it's just such a great deal. It's too good to turn down.
So first of all, as you say, it's a great deal. So if I'm going to fly to Vancouver from Toronto for $130 or $40, it's a great deal, and I'm willing to lose that money.
Hold on. I haven't flown since before I've flown. I haven't flown. I wasn't in a position to even consider paying for my own ticket. It wasn't even my choice to fly. That's how long ago it was. I haven't flown since before the price went up to $49 or whatever. I remember when the buses started charging like $149 to get on a fucking bus, and I didn't pay them to go anywhere either. You guys are fucking dreaming. It's not gonna happen.
Shop
Canadian, store Canadian.
Shop Canadian, store Canadian. What?
Happy wife is happy life is happy.
Inonde les rues de Londres sous nos pieds, sous nos pieds. Assis dans l'ombre, j'écoute le monde se noyer, se noyer. Pour peu que la nuit soit longue, que la fête soit longue, que la brume puisse nous porter.
In the final 2 rounds of the playoffs, and with details to
I really meant to eat a muffin, and instead I lit another cigarette, eh? Like, these will get you. The sound quality is driving me up the fucking
time for the 680 news shot spotter. Plenty of options across Toronto today for those looking to get their first COVID vaccine, for example.
Damn it, I can't even describe how much this hurts.
Pourvu que la nuit soit longue, hockey choral qu'on entendait chanter, et c'est une nouveauté tellement nouvelle que c'est peut-être pas encore disponible. On est allé voler ça quelque part de bons contacts, c'est bon, j'ai beaucoup aimé ça. Avec nous au téléphone, la comédienne Karine Vanasse qui revient en force à la télé chez nous. Elle tient le rôle principal
Don't disappoint me.
Après, qui était réalisé par Louis Choquette. Après, ça raconte comment une petite localité doit apprendre à se relever et se reconstruire après un drame que personne n'a pu prévoir ni éviter. On parle d'une fusillade dans ce cas-ci.
Fusillade, thank you. I was not listening till you said that. What one word? What?
Oui, j'ai pris une petite pause de jeu d'eau extérieur avec mon fils pour venir en parler. Donc, oui,
c'est un choix difficile entre faire de la radio ou les jeux d'eau. Moi, j'aurais peut-être pris les jeux d'eau. Mais j'apprécie.
Oui, mais vous n'avez pas été bien heureux. Non, puis je suis très heureuse de parler d'après. Tout ça, c'est bien correct.
Mais il y a plein de choses dont j'ai envie de parler peut-être après. Mais parlons de cette série, effectivement, qui pourrait vous donner l'impression de retourner sur les lieux du crime parce que avec Polytechnique, vous aviez joué dans quelque chose où les circonstances sont un peu semblables. On parle de fusillade. Comment vous les choisissez, vos projets, Karine?
So there's a new Senate bill. I think it was 1101. I could be wrong. Or House bill or whatever.
La tuerie, on la voit pas. La série s'appelle vraiment Après parce que c'est vraiment ce qui suit ce genre d'événement-là, comment ça laisse les gens, comment on traumatise ça. Donc, pour moi, le lien entre Après et Polytechnique, peut-être sur papier, il y a des liens à faire, mais dans le produit final, dans l'intention aussi, là, dans l'écriture, tout ça, c'est vraiment pas des projets qui sont si près l'un de l'autre, selon moi.
Oui, parce qu'on parle dans ce cas-ci vraiment de ce qui se passe après, parce qu'on vit longtemps les conséquences d'une pareille affaire catastrophique. Je vous propose, si vous êtes game, peut-être, un extrait juste pour que
They sucked me in with the music.
Ce qu'est après.
The 80s industrial, whatever that was. Can you just give us something factual to work with? So there's a new
right now in downtown
law.
Toronto, sun and cloud, 25 degrees. It feels like 31. At Pearson Airport, it's cloudy and 27 with a humidex of 34.
They said it was 32. We just checked and they said 32. I double checked.
Vehicle slammed into a group of pedestrians last night in
It's 25 straight, 32.
And we are also looking at now Ontario reporting its lowest COVID case count since last September. Full breakdown of those details coming up with our Michelle.
That don't impress me.
10:30.
City News Time, 10:23.
Does inline fiberglass do window replacements? Of course we do. Hi, I'm Tom Rokicki of Inline Fiber.
So the Blue Jays are kicking the ass off the Yankees, and we'll tell you about it in 20 minutes. You would fucking shoot your radio. You would send a virus to the radio station's email account. What the fuck was that? Lowest case number since... And we're going to just talk for 30 seconds instead of telling you what those numbers are. So there's a new law that they're trying to pass. So if you know Canadian laws, you'll go, why? And then if you don't know, it's incredibly fucking bullshit up here. They want to ban all firearm magazines, ammunition magazines, whatever you want to call it, the magazine that holds the ammunition for a firearm, over 10 rounds. Now, I say, what about the, what is it, 4.52 or whatever, SOCOM? That's 10 rounds, isn't it? It's not 30. It's 10 rounds in a 30-round magazine. And when does that stop being a 30-round magazine? Right. But it's not 4.52. I forget the number. It's something big-ass number you don't normally see. So they want to ban all magazines over 10 rounds, but already in handguns it's 10 rounds, in rifles it's 5 rounds, and anything bigger than that is considered prohibited. And you go, well, if it's prohibited, how are they going to prohibit it? And then, no, they want to ban it. It's already prohibited. And people go, what the fuck are you talking about? So, well, this is Canada, and prohibited means you are allowed to have it if you have a prohibited weapons license. What the fuck is a prohibited weapon? Right. Skynet, can we please hear music? Thank you.
With a lot of ink, all I really know is I want more bling. Money calling me, I keep on chasing. You see me on stage and I'm glowing. You not believe where I'm going. I'm fucking with the speed I'm stroking. Son and rappers coaching. Don't fuck with my vibe when I'm smoking. Judging all these rappers by the clothing. Need a role model and a Trojan. Provoking while I'm promoting. Emotion, demons in my head. Keep on facing them. Smoke the pain away, I can't erase it down. If you roll it up, you better lace it down.
I know this isn't like my joke. I'm not thinking this is original exactly, but can you think of a worse name for a condom than Trojan? Can you think of a worse name?
Yeah, uppers and them downers, and I chase it down. Pussy chasing me, I do not chase it down. Catch me online, got the playlist, wanna ride. I got the spaceship, I stay lit, fuck the police and the racists. Ride for my homies, and I'll never turn, baby. Cremated when I die, in a diamond urn, baby. I love some thick thighs, yeah, I never learned, baby. The devil in disguise, but my friends call me Hades. Living up like I'm lucid, in the woods with these druids. Chilling with the humans, getting stupid off these fluids. Rooted in the music, the money is elusive. You say you taking shots, my homies really shooting from the different. Yeah, I hope you hear the difference. This is not a coincidence, legitimate imprisonment. Your lyrics sounding belligerent, I'm feeling that deliverance. I'm tired of being considerate. Your music is sounding like some gibberish. Everyone's hearing me killing this. I'm the rapper and the instrument. I don't know what you talk about. All my homies is innocent. The leader of the syndicate. This music is my stimulant. All my rhymes are written intricate, and I'm feeling it.
Meanwhile, there's cases before the courts they're not talking about where First Nations are. They're trying to bring it. So what they'll do up here, there's a thing called case law. So it doesn't matter what's written down in the book. It's how the judges have been interpreting it. That's called case law. Whatever actual cases have been concluded and so forth, judgments rendered and shit. So when they don't want to admit that the legislation is against the charter or isn't legal or isn't valid, they'll find every which way to not charge us with the offense so that it never goes to court to get argued out. So somebody somewhere must have got charged because we're arguing over whether we're required to have permission from the government to have firearms. And I hesitate as to what to call it because they keep changing the name of it. I think it's there was FAL, there's POL, PAL. Yeah, there's a bunch of stupid acronyms for a gun permit. Yeah, but we've argued all along that since we're a different nation, it's up to us to make our rules about that, and you can't stop us from having it because we have laws that have existed before where they didn't make it illegal for us to have guns. They made it illegal for the Hudson's Bay Company, essentially, to sell us ammunition. Right? How are we supposed to go hunt bears and sell them to the bobbies outside of Windsor House without guns, without ammunition for our guns? We're gonna walk up to the bear and say, "Hey, give us that hide, or we'll shoot you," and hope that the bear gets scared. Right? So, and this is why we won't let go of those things. Oh, you're right. We should all have licenses. Fuck off. You tried to kill us already.
Listen closely when I'm spitting this. People should consider this. You gotta be shitting me. You can't keep me cooped up in here, okay? I am a peacock. You gotta let me fly. My crimes are heinous. Yo, I kill the beat like I'm a racist. I do it while I'm faded. I'm shameless and I don't need payment. I'm feeling like the greatest. It's time to show my faces. Fear and loathing Las Vegas. Never will they tame us. They hating on this rapper, but they will not claim us. The new school rappers looking brainless. Yo, and all these young kids celebrating, making them contagious. I hit you with the latest. Dropping all this hot shit like the Bruns ever hated.
Get $5,000 off your new basement. All right, and meteorologist Jill Taylor's forecast for this afternoon. The heat warnings do continue as most of us are sitting through that hot, hazy, and humid type of weather. There is a slight chance we might see some rain, even an isolated thunderstorm, especially with how humid it is. We are looking at a guaranteed high of 31, humidex near 38. For tonight, partly cloudy, a chance of some rain, and a low down to 21. Right now in downtown Toronto, we have got partly cloudy conditions, 25, already feeling like 31 degrees. Michael Gibbons is the Midday Show editor. Zahir Hashimi is at the digital desk, and Michael Ranger is our web editor. 680 News Time, 10:30.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News.
Right, 3 minutes enough more.
Good morning.
You better have a shovel in the HOV lane or something. I swear to God.
What's making news this hour?
We are seeing the lowest daily COVID case count reported since September, as more Ontarians are eligible to book their second vaccine.
November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So 9 months ago, I said you're not doing this right. And we've been through 9 months of bullshit with this thing.
20-year-old man is under arrest.
Ow!
It's another sizzling day.
The heat! My God, the heat!
The GTA remains under a heat warning with the +30 temperatures hanging around for a couple more days. Montreal and Boston host Daily.
So should I report the backed up storm drains?
Hit the road. Sports at 45.
Investors are scratching the buy button on one of the meme stocks. We have modest moves for the markets, but the TSX pulling back.
The problem is if I report it when it's dry, they'll go look and say there's nothing wrong.
News Time, 10:31.
It's time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Zach Bodenstein.
This report
Damn
brought to you
it, I
by
would turn this off if my soul wasn't dying.
401. Good news, the issue at the 407 is now clear, but we're getting word of a problem at Winston Churchill, so it might be the same issue, could be a separate one. Either way, it's slow from James Snow towards Winston Churchill right now. New issue on the west.
You tried to rhyme that and you fucked it up.
A stalled vehicle west of Renforth in the collectors is blocking the left lane. MTO's on scene, so's a tow truck. So hopefully
oh, there, that's never supposed to happen. Where's the police?
Actually looking pretty good as well. South 404 DVP, eastbound QE Gardner.
The MTO's not allowed to talk to the tow truck drivers without the police.
Get a jewel of a deal at TSC. Shop stunning fine jewelry in limited quantities at unbelievable prices.
Oh my God, that hurts.
Enjoy 12 interest-free easy pay payments. Shop TSC.ca. With a look at the forecast now. Here's Jill Taylor.
Heat warning continues. Hot, hazy, humid,
damn
a chance of showers, isolated thunderstorms, and a gusty southwest wind today. The guaranteed high 31 will feel like 38. Partly cloudy tonight, chance of showers 21. For today, the guaranteed high 31 degrees.
And we are warming up in the city's core. It's 25 in downtown, feeling more like
They will tell you it's 39 degrees outside with a humidex of 40. They will never go over 40 with a humidex.
News Time 1032.
Ontario's COVID-19 case count has dropped to its lowest level since late September. It comes as the province opens up more eligibility for.
If this was TV, the camera would be like falling over and shit.
With more on that and a look, Michelle, at today's case count.
Steve, beginning with today's case count, 500.
I want to see the Zoom channel all these assholes are on.
Are being reported today. This is the 8th straight day we've seen less than 1,000 cases.
Ow.
Now, breaking down where we are, Toronto is seeing the highest count with 114 in Peel region, 95, and 34 in York region. Nearly 15,200 tests have been completed in the last day.
What the fuck?
3.6% coming out positive. This percent is up compared to yesterday's 2.8%. And
yeah, it's going to vary quite a bit because you're testing such a small fucking slice of the.
As more people are now eligible to book a shot today, seniors.
So if you don't follow along, we should be up around like 100,000 tests.
Some public health units, which have their own booking system,
well, we could argue what we should be at, but what it's been at, you would think would be testing at 100,000.
Eligible to book their second shot are those who had their first Moderna or Pfizer shot on or before April.
I'm about to call the Toronto Library just to hear a story.
Milestone with more than 10 million shots administered to date. Reporting live.
Although those French stories, that's not made up. Those fucked up stories are real children's stories
Could we
in
be
Canada.
on the patio sooner than that? 680's Kevin Meisner is at Queen's Park with more.
The Ford government is currently proceeding with extreme caution after the crushing third wave of infection. New cases of COVID are coming down. Health Minister Christine Elliott says the key indicators could allow for a slightly earlier start to stage 1 of Ontario's reopening plan.
And our numbers in ICU are also proceeding to a good place. So there is a possibility that we may be able to move into stage 1 several days earlier than June 14th.
In fact, the number of COVID patients in
I was
ICU
wearing
down
my
below
clothing
500,
correctly, you wouldn't have seen that at all anyway.
This morning. Stage 1 allows for patio restaurant dining. And
Damn it, do you have news? Oh my
Compare
God.
that to Quebec, where gyms are now open, restaurant dining is allowed again, and high school students
Somebody
are
remind me, what happens at 11 o'clock?
Kevin Meisner, Queen's Park.
Three
Multiple
Universal. What the
pedestrians
fuck?
now dead after being hit by a vehicle in London, Ontario. And as we
Why
hear
wasn't
from
that the number
684
one?
Carney this morning, the
story.
young man behind the wheel is now under arrest.
A balmy evening in the Forest City turned deadly when people out walking in the northwest end of the city around 8:30 were hit by a vehicle. 5 people were hit in the area of Hyde Park and South Carriage Roads. 4 of them died. London, Ontario police say 1 woman was pronounced dead at the scene.
People
While
say
another
London
woman, a
police.
man
It's
and
like
2
the proper
children were
name.
rushed to hospital. The 2 adults and 1 teenage child
What are
succumbed to
London,
their
Ontario
injuries, and
police?
the only
Oh, just so you
survivor
don't
of the
get
other child
confused and think that
in
it's
serious but non-life-threatening
Scotland
condition.
Yard.
The driver
Right.
was
Hold on a
arrested short
second.
time
What the
later
fuck is wrong with you
We
people?
have a 20-year-old London man currently in custody at this time. He remains in custody, and the investigation is ongoing. We will be able to provide further information as it becomes available.
No word yet on charges. I'm Laura Carney. This is 680 News. It's 10:36. We're in the thick of this early June heat wave with at least 2 more days of sticky weather
all
to
you're gonna tell
contend
us.
with. And 680's Momin Qureshi joins us live now with more on what to expect today. Momin.
More
Saying it all weekend and continue to say it
More
today.
on what to expect. Thank you.
That's right. We remain under a heat warning in the city and in the.
I think it must take them like an hour to put together one of those little sound bites because on these no news days where they're not going to tell us anything is when they run those little sound bites from like movies and shit.
A new partner who he will be leading through the steps of what it takes to be the Chief Medical Officer of Health in the province. And his name, of course, is Dr. Kieran Moore. And he comes from Kingston, Ontario. He has been, Kingston's Chief Medical Officer of Health throughout this pandemic.
Their first theory. I should have lived the joint already.
I remember hearing somebody say, well, this guy's from a small town. Like, Kingston's a small city. How would he be able to handle the province? Well, his credentials are pretty impressive. First of all,
most of the people in this province live in small cities, small towns.
We know that the virus loves the prison system. because people are close together.
That's not why. That's not why, because they're not close together.
So he's kept the numbers.
He's kept the numbers. What? He's done nothing. So the CEOs, it's one person in a two-person cell. I remember when it was 3 people in a two-person cell, and the cells were like this fucking wide. Fucking, they were like 7 feet by 6 feet or some shit with 3 people in them. No, it was one person in each fucking cell, and everybody's let out in these split shifts or whatever. It's the CEOs. There's like a yellow post, I guess, if a forklift ever comes through. There's yellow posts by the doors. And every CO touches it and leans on it and poses and flexes their arm and then fucking rubs their fucking face and then touches it and then touches their face. They all fucking do it every last. I watched them all day, every day for 8 fucking days. That's why they threw me out of the fucking jails, because I was staring at the fucking guards too much, getting too much information about them. When I left, I wrote down every license plate number in the parking lot. They didn't give me this. I stole this on my way out. I made this, sir. They made me make this like forced labor. Sorry, just a review. We've learned nothing, eh? Like, I attempted. You tried hard too if you've watched. Now, see, the beautiful part, if you watch once these are recorded, you can skip and skip and skip. Here's the part where he's smoking weed again. I'll just skip this part, sir. We learned nothing. We learned nothing. So, they have to be doing something fucked up to be dumping heat into this building. No, because right now it's so I'm not even going to try the conversion to Fahrenheit and Celsius. I've got multiple thermometers, and not one of them is going to tell me what I want to know. With the ventilation system turned off, this building still doesn't heat up till about 4 in the fucking afternoon. They've got they've got people on these weird agency programs paying basically 50% more than what the units are worth, and they're charging them extra for running air conditioners because people are dumb. Oh, I need an air conditioner because the air in here sucks. All right, there's no connection between those two things.
On the dash and a slay, get the cash. All she had to say. Motherfucking police, always be fucking. I had 2 Biggie bitch, baby.
Get a couple $100 bands, and we got a couple fans. I ain't want no friends, suffer for the fans. I'ma call my baby Lance, I ain't pushing no stunts, no stunts, okay, yo, get a couple $100 bands, and we got a couple fans.
What is that? I put that on there. Ow! Damn it!
Major
Roots. Fighting this fancy. This mighty warrior. S, I am flying through your city. No S on my chest. I am manifesting greatness. Not saying I'm the best, but I make this shit easy. No toilet. Yo, let them get the memo. I get a different vein and fish. Right back to Flemo. I give it to him real from what you say is the ghetto. Environmental product. Shit up pretty mellow. Yo, damn, it's another from Toronto. Giving them the ball as an MC's to follow. Nothing much to prove, so swallow this bubble shit. Boom, it's a banger. I'm the model. What you see is what you get. They like, who's where you from, what you been? I tell them I will rock in the left, far west. They all confused in the head. I say, fuck you, baby, write the check. Yo, lyrical, mitochondrial DNA, soaking your membrane. Cranium, filled with the sensei. Fuck up, and smoke, clearing up your memory. Want to remember me.
So if you follow along, if you don't, it's on the SoundCloud thing. There's a playlist. But it doesn't matter. One of the studies they can do with DNA, they can check mitochondrial DNA, which mitochondria are like bacteria to a bacteria. It's an incredibly small organism that lives inside your living cells, which are a lot bigger than its cells, and they're passed down. All the children get it from their mother, but only the females can pass it on to their kids. So you can trace the, what do they say, matrilineal, whatever, the mother's bloodline all the way up through a mitochondrial DNA, and that's without testing your, what they would call nucleic DNA, I guess would be the term.
Lyrical, mitochondrial DNA, soaking your membrane. Cranial, filled with the sensei. Puff, and smoke, clearing up your memory. So remember me. These schools politicking, no politicking. Give me souls, wanna build on this rocky mission. I'm getting rid of these veins, sipping Molly, Trippz Nation, those best.
So if you follow along, I got sickle cell. It's a genetic disorder, and interesting contributions to my bloodline. I should be getting my DNA profiled somewhere. Nobody's interested. They want me to just disappear, just get this guy out of here and bun up the body and everything, so there's no evidence.
This game's missing. So the ball is up in my court. Survival of the fittest, and it goes up in my court. Red flag, blue flag, nothing of the sort. It's that time of the month for that red. No blood sport. ASAP, no Rocky. Ready for the giddy on the clock, so don't flap me. I keep it sexy, so neat, never sloppy. You can push the play and repeat, don't copy. Let me in, I'm the buzzer in the lobby. Hot thing next, I'm the mommy with the arc around my neck. So please try your best and not cross me. Also remember me, no copy. Lyrical, mitochondrial DNA, soaking your membrane.
So they the messenger DNA was mDNA, and then the mRNA is a different term. Anyway, mitochondrial DNA is lowercase mt, uppercase DNA. I don't know why I'm thinking of this shit. Who's writing all this? It's too bad.
Mad lip tracks, rattlesnake, battle lax. Man, this how we gonna do it, child. We gonna turn down the lights, and we gonna turn up the sound, and we gonna rock it a little bit.
Somebody already got in trouble for putting that on. What is all this? I don't remember putting half this shit on it. It's a church I don't get to go to anymore. Oh, fucking hell is this?
Hustle hard.
Didn't we start with this song? Yeah, we did. There's 2 copies of it.
Now I stack up paper and my diamonds glisten. They try to tell me, but I never listen. And I'm a boss, never jockey for position. Now I'm in the trap, whipping in the kitchen. Now I stack up paper and my diamonds glisten. They try to tell me, but I never listen. And I'm a boss, never jockey for position. Now I'm in the trap, whipping in the kitchen.
Cold when I lift off, riding with my shirt on. Jody hanging out the window, I should be the next Jay Leno. Break up, break down like a pencil. I don't like men though, don't even pretend to. Haters get obnoxious, codeine on my boxers. Keep my trunk knocked in, sun goes down, then you wish you had a curfew.
Now I stack up paper and my diamonds glisten. They try to tell me, but I never listen. And I'm a boss, never jockey for position. Now I'm in the trap, whipping in the kitchen. Now I stack up paper and my diamonds glisten. They try to tell me, but I never listen. And I'm a boss, never jockey for position. Now I'm in the trap, whipping in the kitchen.
Money, 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 bread. Get wrong and I'm buzzing legs straight. Let your motherfucking head get money. money, 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 bitch. I ain't never scared, cause the day that you pay off, it's your pay off. Only cash shot at minutes, dome, blew his braids off. Foreign shit, make your bitch wanna suck a dick. Pill popping bitch, now that hoe wanna make a fake. And my dick full of nothing but that motherfucking activists. Now I check it back and my diamonds glisten.
The reason that shit don't sell so well in Canada, cause we don't mess with it. We don't have the codeine activists, all that shit. We got real weed. Like we don't have Spice or K2 up there. It just don't exist. And there's like the main reason is because of the access to the real thing, and then the secondary reason is called analog drug laws, where fake weed is just as illegal as real weed. It doesn't matter if it's actually real weed; you still go to jail for it. This blows my mind with all this made in China, order off the internet drug dealing shit going on.
Drop my bear.
And the reason they do that in the U.S. is because on a technicality, it's not illegal. Like on a technicality, up here, it's just as illegal as anything else. I don't understand how we have this issue. The fucking people dropping dead all over the place.
Bombs on them. I'm dropping bombs on.
So it's not that hard for me to sit up here and listen, rather than be out there with all these idiots. You told everybody to stay home if they didn't want to get sick and die. Who's left out on the street? Weirdos cleaning the gutters, I know.
Crack Kelly on the streets, track memory on the beach, lighting cocoa busting downtown, belly of the beast, getting worked by the brick and selling by the piece. I got foot soldiers, I ain't sweating the police. I made a killing off of crack in the 80s. Let me tell you how I did it. I got a group of homies that was down with it. We started small ops with consigned critics, had a strap by the ditty. I had to live with it. Had to hand exchanges with strangers before gangbangers started taxing the street corner hustle. It was less dangerous. My scale named Price, but money came nameless. We took hope and turned it to something more famous. With free basic king clucking, all kinds of shit coming. Gold chains to tape decks, TVs to dick sucking. Supply and demand, the people meant nothing. If it wasn't me, it would have been the next man hustling. What type of drugs do you do? I probably served you. The daddy and your mama that birthed you. I'm on the grind from morning to past curfew. With a decade of dope, I'm here to mind swerve you. Whether it's a kilogram, take a pillow slam. You can call me the dealer, man. I'm from the streets cause I put the candy in your hand. In the decade of dope, I'm your pusher, man. Yo, I'm a late 70s baby, so I was raised in the 80s. Yo, my favorite phrase, fuck you, didn't pay me. Yo, I first learned how to lace a J before I weighed 80 pounds. Now I drop them, but ain't starving in Haiti. Yo, smoking weed and hashish is something real ancient. Kashashas used to get high before he was slave. Yo, these rappers kinda influenced me to start blazing. What I'm saying, my dad's waiting, getting high in the basement. Yo, I know they used to puff heavy back in the 60s. But who was smoking kush with the throws at the whiskey? And I ain't hell by getting hit by Mrs. Lewinsky. But we live in hell, so I smoke to understand the mysteries. Indigenous in me, sip peyote in the tea. Eating mushrooms, blowing breeze, living nature with the trees. Cypress Hill got me stoned, made me wanna kill a man. Raekwon and Ghostface made me go and sniff some grams. What type of drugs do you do?
What is this?
My motto was infamous. We used to sell a pack of white girls we call ditzy chicks. Straight bar genetics for rap. It's indigenous, like none of your rhymes is hard. I see the impotence. Told me I'm the best in the city, and I agree. And this ain't nothing new. This since AJ and Free, since DMX and Eve, Suge Knight in '93. Recognize the legacy. They took my time with no clemency. Don't compare me to these niggas that got bitch tendencies. Molly shot the chef, fuck Charlie shot the deputy. Put your boy in the box, it's like you got a penalty. Blue eyes and no blonde hair. You see the color shit. Call me motherfucker, man. I smoked the bitch on Mother's Day. Dying for the set, nigga never had regrets. And never have remorse, but had work like the shorts. You niggas horse, feeling like you up till we score. Bombing on them with more grenades in Jersey Shore. See me on the lake shore, riding 150 in the 60s. So if I crash, oh God with me. Swear like none of you niggas is fucking with me. I was selling work back when Bobby was fucking Whitney. We been posting guns since Kevin was fucking Britney. My words like AJ versus rolling 60s. Nipsey, hustle my nigga like they ain't want you to. I told Leia, suck her mom, don't ask me who I'm talking to. Remember when they changing up the voice to make a mock of you? It's how you get your son snatched when he got his walking school. It's that gangster music and nothing less. But so many shots at the barrel getting stressed. I rip the shit so hard to see my life is on a blast. And still I watch this game like a rap, boy, don't even test. Like who was savage with this butchery? This devil was a bitch by a fire pit and I pushed through it. Nigga, I'm the best with these lyrics, you never took it. But to resurrect the strategy to have you shook again. Again, the hope isn't needed, I hope you see it. She looking right and you read it. The children come and you feed it. Attitude, you can leave it. We did it all again, but slightly different, it's a remix. Girl, I'm fly as a G6. Keep me out your mentions. 40 cal Glock 27. When it's licking it, dead him.
Propose that we pay for our own exams, our eye exams. Why are you saying that the, that you're not going to be able to deliver the service?
Well, the government is saying that they're
more
paying
shit I didn't mention. Sorry,
eye exam, but they're not. They're paying for less than half of what it costs us to deliver that service. So that has an impact on the quality of.
Hey, I got laser surgery, PRK.
The government has 2012 with optometrists to work on a sustainable funding model, and we need them to pick up the phone and engage in that type of conversation with us.
How long have you been reaching out to the government? You said 30 years the government's been radio silence on
this.
Hey,
me too.
I mean, how is that even possible?
Oh. Yeah, it's surprising, isn't it? There's nothing legislatively that commits the government to have to negotiate with optometrists.
You don't have to negotiate with anybody.
So with physicians, they meet with them.
They say, we're the government, go fuck yourself.
Compensation and scope issues, but with us, they have no commitment.
If you go on strike, they're the people that can order you back to work. They're the only people.
30 years are informal one-off types of meetings. They never commit to sort of a back and forth dialogue with us. And with this current government, we've been doing everything to get this message across to them, and they do understand what the issue is. Over the course of the last 12
want
months,
more of their money and they don't want to give it to you.
Around 50 MPPs and cabinet ministers. We've had over 61 petitions tabled in the legislature during that time, and that's one of the most read petitions in the legislature in the last 3 years. We've sent letters to every MPP and cabinet minister back in March around the issue, and the government just isn't picking up the phone.
Free postage.
The last time that we had conversation with them was in December of 2020. Prior to that, we had informally met with Christine Elliott, and she committed that optometrists shouldn't have to pay the operating costs to deliver the services that we're providing the public. But since December, they've been radio silent and we've had no communication.
The deadline that you're looking at is this September. So
everybody's in wartime mode or
hear
whatever.
From the province, and they agree to legally binding negotiations on the issue of eye exams covered by OHIP.
So if the government
they'll just delist it completely. Watch out.
Pick up the phone with us. What it would mean is that children, seniors, and adults with medical conditions would no longer have access to optometry services. It's illegal in the province for optometrists to charge for the services that patients are eligible for through OHIP. So it will mean that those people that depend on OHIP services are most vulnerable would lose complete access to it.
So, I mean, that's tough to do as a medical professional.
I keep telling you, they'll get you in this province. In this jurisdiction, they'll get you.
Well, we're really desperate. Like, we've tried everything to get them to enter conversation with us, and they're just
not allowed to pay for it.
And,
not allowed to pay for it.
You know, so this is kind of the last step. We're here to ensure that the public is aware that this is looming on the horizon. We need the public's help to reinforce to their elected
can't see it. They need new glasses.
These services are critically important to their life and well-being. We have a website called saveeyecare.ca.
Who the fuck needs to see? Get out of here.
And within 1 week, we had 10,000 letters sent to 124 MPPs, which is
and the typeface was this big.
And we're asking the public to go to that website, get more information, and it's a platform that allows them to easily communicate with their MPPs, so they can tell their MPPs how important these services are to them.
Dr. Salaba, thank you so much for joining us to talk about this. It's important that we're aware of the fact that we are not, we have a lot to say here, and we can affect some change within the government. SaveEyeCare.ca, is that right?
That is correct.
Thank you so much. Have yourself a good day.
Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers. Dr. Sheldon Salaba is president of the Ontario Association of Optometrists. All right, we're going to take a moment now for Creston's Cuts. I think Chris is going to offer us the best and the worst of the noise that we find on the internet over the weekend.
Resources and are adding to the losses. Canadian Natural Resources is down by 0.6%. Suncor Energy down by about roughly 0.5%. When it comes to oil, it's pulling back from its highest finish since 2018. It is down by more than 0.5%.
Yeah, how is your stock price down if your product is through the roof? That's
when it comes to gold, the precious metal is
you
moving
see a
up by
crack dealer cry broke
to 1,895. Canadian dollar moving
you
in
guys
the
are
same
all
direction
actors.
as gold. It's just up slightly to 82.76 cents US. At the Business Center, I'm Carl Garnish.
Hey, John, how's your business doing?
Numero uno.
I don't understand.
82.76. So when I came up with $4.15 US per gallon equivalent yesterday, I put 83 cents instead of 82 points, whatever the fuck he just said. It's still over $4 a gallon for regular. If you do the math of liters to gallons and then Canadian dollars to US dollars, which is not precisely how it works in real life, but I know you ain't paying $4 a gallon. Get the fuck out of here. Unless that's more recent.
Your dream home.
I got so excited by the dumb little things I forgot. I'm trying to catch the fuck. How come it didn't beep last hour?
Instagram, Twitter, or inlinefiberglass.com.
Now, 680 News regional weather conditions.
I've seen what happens when the world falls apart because I've been studying apocalypse movies lately.
Scores only half the story. Embrace the challenge at the #1 public golf course in the GTA.
Unless it's like,
visit
unless it's easier for you to go cut down a tree and make 2x4s for your own windows. I'm thinking aluminum on concrete, epoxy-coated concrete with that plastic shit around the outside for waterproofing, the black polyethylene that's dimpled.
It feels like 31. This is
Epoxy coat all the concrete.
News. It's 11 o'clock.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News. Well, good morning. This is Monday.
Well, good morning.
I'm Steve Roberts.
Good morning, motherfuckers.
Here's what's making news this hour.
Ontario
is reporting the lowest daily COVID case count.
We'll just draw a peaceful little mountain. Spray paint a nice big K on the wall.
Eligible for a second shot. A 20-year-old London, Ontario man is under arrest after 5 pedestrians were hit by a vehicle in that city last night.
No, every year or so, somebody kills like an inordinate number of people. And it's happened like 3 times a year for the last 4 years.
Temperatures not backing down until Wednesday evening.
Was it last year we got one on one of these videos that the cops are starting to follow this guy and he went through a red light, killed a woman and a kid and a husband or some shit like that.
The Habs trying to sweep the Jets to be the first to reach the Final
SIU
Four.
gets involved.
The Islanders will break their ties 4-15.
Ow!
Amazon CEO is getting ready to head to space next month. We have markets little change to kick off the week.
There's something wrong with this fucking guy.
Back from all-time highs. Business at 26.
No, and I caught what it was too before we went live.
With Toronto's most frequent traffic reports, here's Zach Bodenstein. This report's brought to you by
the guy put in the same sentence Richard Branson, Bozo, whatever, Elon Musk, all in the same sentence about CEOs that have gone to space or going to space or whatever. Yeah,
Express. We have the westbound 401 moving well pretty much through the entire thing. And
It don't matter how much money they make, they're still competing with each other.
Also traveling at the limit. Pretty good drive, relatively lightly traveled around the GTA routes this morning.
Because nobody got money for gas, nobody's got a job. You can't go to the store if you have money. If you can get in the store after waiting in line, they're not allowed to sell you the shit you went there to buy.
Forecast now. Here's Jill Taylor.
Heat warning continues. Our guaranteed high 31 will feel closer to 38 with the humidity. Slight chance of showers, isolated thunderstorms this afternoon. A gusty southwest wind. Tonight, partly cloudy, chance of showers, and another warm low 21. For today, the guaranteed high 31. And right now in downtown Toronto, sun and cloud 25 degrees, a humidex of 31. 680 News Time 11:02.
Ontario is now looking at its lowest daily COVID case count since last fall, although testing numbers did drop significantly. This, though, as another
How many calls and emails did you get about that, buddy? No, because everybody's sitting at home now doing nothing. When you're driving to work, you don't even consider sending them a text message. Fuck that.
Sarah, the province is reporting 500.
That'd take 30 seconds out of your day. Fuck that. Now you got 4 hours to sit and edit your email 6 times.
Case number is at 941. Now we are at more than a week of less than 1,000 daily cases. Today marking the 8th consecutive day. Looking at where the new cases are.
I want to write a letter to the Radio Broadcast Standards Commission, or whatever the fuck they
and
call
York
it.
region with 34. Nearly 15,000.
I just want to see what they send me back in the mail.
Have been completed in the last 24 hours. 3.6% coming out positive.
That's real close to a government job. There's some guy out there sitting in an office in some little building somewhere all day. He gets like every 3 days he has to put a form in an envelope and send it off. It's a big
More
day.
than 10 million shots have been administered to date. And today that number is going to go up because more Ontarians are now eligible for their second shot.
I'm going to start sending postcards.
And older,
I'm going to start writing about my concern for the employees or something like that.
Portal or call center. Some public health units with their own booking system may be accepting younger bookings.
No, you see the duplicity or duplication or
before April 18th.
If you go to where they tell you to go to, but if you go to the other way, you could get in ahead sooner. No, but it's always like that here. There's always a second door entrance for people with more money or whatever.
Today to discuss a plan to start step 1 of reopening a little bit earlier. Now, Ontario is currently scheduled to enter stage 1 week from today, which would allow for patio dining and limited customer shopping in some stores. But the plan being discussed today would move that date up to Friday, June the 11th. We're being told
You can hear the word murderer associated with them over and over and over.
Subject to change.
680 News Time.
Or killer. They might say killer.
An investigation is underway in London, Ontario, where multiple people are dead, including a child, after a vehicle hit pedestrians last night. With the latest, here's Laura Carney. 4 people are dead and a child is in hospital in serious but non-life-threatening condition. London, Ontario police say these 5 people walking in the northwest part of the city around 8:30 last night at Hyde Park and South Carriage Roads when they were hit by a vehicle. 1 woman was pronounced dead at the scene. Another woman, a man, and 2 children were rushed to hospital, and now we know only 1 of the children survived. Police wouldn't comment on the relationship between the 5 victims. As for the driver of the vehicle, he was arrested a short
London
time later.
police are
He is 20
thorough.
years old. He is a London man. He is currently in custody, and the investigation is ongoing. Members of our major crime section,
We're
as well
born
as
after
members
the
of
year
our,
2000.
traffic
You're
management
driving
unit
and
are
I'm not.
seen. No word yet on
What
charges.
the fuck does this have?
You're listening to Toronto's only all-news radio station. This is 680 News. Well, you're certainly going to have to sweat it out at least for a couple more days. We do have a heat warning still in effect for Toronto and most of the GTA. 680's Momin Qureshi joining us live. Momin, how are you keeping cool this morning?
Oh, I'm inside with the air conditioning, so I'm good, but it's certainly a sizzling day out there.
It's so damn hot.
Milk was a bad choice. Our meteorologist Jill Taylor says we are under a heat warning, and it will stay this way with the high temperatures for at least a couple of days.
We will have the high heat and humidity for a good portion of the week. It'll take until toward the end of the week before we really get out of noticing that sort of sticky feel. So a little more comfortable, yes, by the time we get to Wednesday night into Thursday and Friday.
So we're looking at plus 30 temperatures for the next couple of days. Really, Wednesday evening is when we'll see it cool down a little bit and see those teen temperatures overnight. That means you should do your best to stay hydrated, stay cool.
You can hear this guy's skin color through the speakers. Like, he's not worried about the heat.
The federal NDP says the Trudeau government needs to act today towards reconciliation.
He said it very specifically. I'm inside with the air conditioning. Yeah, the air conditioner's inside too. You know. I'm inside with an air conditioner. I don't have it anymore. Once upon a time, there was one sitting right there. It was in the way, so I got rid of it. I can't use it. Somebody can. God damn it, I know it went to scrap.
When it comes to searching for more unmarked graves, we need more than a prime minister who wants to lower the flags at half-mast or to take a knee at a memorial. We need action.
Or to put on brown face and black face at the command of ethnic minorities. No, I think we should have the right to throw loonies at him. Ben's for me. What do I call him? I can't call him white boy if I want to put on brown face.
For a response, they directed me to the PM.
He did this shit, by the way.
On Friday, that as a Catholic, he's disappointed. He wants a papal apology and for the church to release all records. Meanwhile, the hashtag Cancel Canada Day is trending on Twitter, with some people calling for an end to the celebrations this year, with groups like I Don't Want More.
See, sir, I told you this shit was going to happen.
Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill. And Ryerson says it will not be replacing a statue of
the U.S. consulate been here since 1864. Canada.
The statue of What? Ryerson has been removed from Ryerson's campus.
Parle français,
All
stupid.
that remains now is the concrete base. This man was here last night when demonstrators pulled the metal statue down.
It's gone. There's no way it doesn't come down either. There's no way. It was really powerful. And it's all righteous. It's all justified.
The university says the
Notice how he
statue
said
will not be
doesn't, as in
restored or
future tense, but he was speaking in the past tense.
One of the architects of Canada's residential school system around the empty base
There's
of the
no way it
statue
doesn't come down either.
spray paint are words like
There's
genocide,
no way it wasn't
hate
going to
them
come
up.
down.
There's also 215 pairs of shoes laid out.
And that's why my
representing
videos
the
don't
remains
caption
of the
it properly.
215 children found buried at a former residential school site in Kamloops, BC. Outside Ryerson University, I'm Carl Hansky.
The city
Damn
news
it.
time, 11:09. Thanks, Toronto.
Ow!
Continuing to make us #1 for breaking news, traffic, and
The only fucking news station.
Online and on your smart speaker.
this is 680 News.
We're the only #1. I don't know what we do here,
How's your
but
blood pressure? Pretty good. What if I said things are variable 3 years ago?
Over the past,
so I'm learning nothing. I'm receiving confirmation and affirmation of everything I've been saying, but yeah. So I've been saying there's gonna be some anti-Canada shit. I've been saying it in a very veiled way, but it's gonna go down. These people are not happy. 150, 67, 54 years compared to, yeah, there's some problems with the math there, sir.
finds this odd that Shoppers Drug Mart and the like are pushing customers to use the self-checkout options when we're in the midst of a pandemic still. I know the numbers are going down, but this seems out of touch.
Wait, what?
For a drugstore, shouldn't they encourage contactless checkout options?
Didn't you just say
Especially now in a
self-checkout?
pandemic.
Not at Shoppers, but at Loblaws. Where
It's the
they've
same company.
gone to the
Wait, what?
model of a single line for all the cash registers, like a bank, and so
That forces everybody to
lines
go.
all the way
We want you
down
all to
the
equally
store and
expose
around
each
the
other.
corner
You know what
through
else
the
they do? They
frozen
make the
aisle.
line go
And
sideways around the store away from the window. So you don't realize there's 50 people in line when you come into the store.
Of that line pushes you to the self-checkout, because you're like, you know what? I'm not going to stand here for the 4 or 5 items that I have, or whatever it is, or even if you're pushing it to like 10 or 15.
They keep telling me, come, sir, come. Oh, I'm not a fucking dog. I'm going to go through the checkout that has a black person
By
working.
not staffing cashiers and not staffing enough of them and having a long line.
That's why I do that.
They're telling you to go use the self-checkout.
Yeah, you
Because
got
when
a
they
point.
look on
And
the
another
computer,
thing that
their
when you
number
were
of
talking
customers
about
checked
the
through
lineup
per
at the
hour
grocery
is
store, like what's
solid.
What's with the training these days? Shouldn't you be saying, do the checkout like your cashiers? Didn't
Why
they used
are
to
we
have
listening to
hands
this?
that moved so quick you could almost not see them? You remember, like they just blink, 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 blink. Now it's like blink, like they're looking at your purchase.
So what we're seeing here is this inverse thing where the company that's fucking up is getting shitloads of fucking free promotion, which is run by Galen Weston, LPL East, LPL West, Loblaws Properties Limited. They're an admitted cartel. They rip people off on bread. I think it was $1 a bag or something for like 15 years. And there was a whole controversy about them giving out $25 gift cards, but they wanted ID from everybody, and they wanted you to take photos of your ID and email it to them. That sounds safe. To get a $25 gift card, if you bought one loaf of bread a week, that's not even 6 months worth of getting ripped off, and it was 15 years. And that's PC Points, PC Financial, which is CIBC Amicus, which is CIBC Direct Banking. Amicus is CIBC and Bell Simpatico, the internet service provider. Oh yeah, this is big data. And they all Shoppers Drug Mart now, which when it went public as a publicly traded company, the prices on everything went through the roof at Shoppers Drug Mart. So I don't shop there for anything at all, ever anymore. But it's where you have to go if you don't live close to a subway station. Put money on your Presto card to get on the bus, unless you have exact change. Like this, I'm learning less and less. The more I'm hearing, the less I'm learning. I paid $1,990 no tax for photorefractive keratectomy on this eye. The place is called LASIK MD, but I did not get LASIK surgery. I got the same one boxers, fighter pilots, and so forth get, so it doesn't flip. My lens doesn't flip inside out when somebody hits me in the eye, because I expect that might happen. No, if I got LASIK, I would have been hitting this eye like 4 times already, but since I didn't, it's never happened.
Same direction as gold, just up slightly here to 82.81 cents US.
I'm sorry, I forgot business market minutes.
My basket, and I left because apparently that was the only option that she was given.
So, I'm somebody that'll put shit down and walk out the store when it's ridiculous like that. I've had a number of sort of incidents in grocery stores, and not me being a dickhead or an idiot, it's the cashier sometimes. I'm not saying cashiers are like that. I'm saying sometimes an idiot and a dickhead becomes a cashier. I don't know how they pass the test. That can't be possible. No, because I know you have to know how to do math. At least the basics of doing math. Like, okay, you have to go boop, 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 but you can see on a screen, oh, that's negative $20. You would know something's wrong. Like, you have to be able to do basic math and work a basic computer. So no, you're not stupid. You're just racist or mean, prejudiced. I'm gonna try one more time.
Yeah. So are you one of those people that during a pandemic you'd rather not touch the surface?
One of those people, motherfucker, those people.
Yeah, I would rather, and you know what? To be honest, I'd rather the people that are doing their job
remember
to do what they're there to do, right? Like I don't like self-checkout because it takes away jobs.
Yeah, were you told that you had to use cash, be paying with cash in order to use the checkout?
No, they just don't want to do it. They just want you to do it yourself.
Yeah, I was.
Leave it all there, buddy.
I gotta be honest. I do not
I'm
go
going to 7-Eleven, motherfuckers.
It was the only thing of it. So I went to Walmart and I was forced to go into the self-checkouts, and I was like, this is one of the reasons why I can't stand this place. It adds to me not wanting to come here again. The fact that
not wanting to come here again.
A real life person to check out. Jack in Toronto, is this going on where you are?
Oh, absolutely, and you're absolutely right, Kelly, about Walmart. Up where we are, they'll have on a busy Saturday 1 or 2 cash lines open.
Again, the negative reinforcement advertising.
That was even before the pandemic. They were doing that, and now it's even worse. Basically,
really, because they swear they've got every checkout open.
Oh, you've got beer in your cart? Oh, then you're going to have to go through here. But
they tried that with me. I came back 10 minutes later. The girl that was on the no liquor line was on the liquor line when I came back. I was like, what the fuck? And that's what started the whole process of me getting threatened to get beat up by the store manager, because the white girl tried to flirt with me instead of giving me my fucking change.
Yeah, and what I noticed was at my Shoppers Drug Mart, there were 3 self-checkouts, and they were all beside each other because they were put together before the pandemic. And they've got this little piece of
they knew that was a bad idea when they did it.
As wide as, when you used to have those phone booths that you'd walk into. And they expect...
Bitch, we still have those outside,
You're not 6 feet apart, so you're actually... putting me closer to other people. You're asking me to touch a surface I don't want to touch.
Does it have the stupid little plastic fucking box thing when you try to? I have to do it like
The only thing I like about this self-checkout, this is the only thing, I am against them, but the only thing I do like about it is whenever I go to the regular checkout, for whatever reason, my card will never allow me to do a tap. And I don't know why it is. But
because they want you to go to the self-checkout.
You got it, so I'm having to use the PIN pad.
Right, and that's the worst.
And if I go over to the self-checkout, you know, I've barely put the bags into my
remember,
my
computer keyboards are dirtier than toilet seats.
And sanitize it. So,
all right. Well, that's not too bad. That I appreciate the call, Jack. That is some good news because I didn't look over my shoulder to see if they're sanitizing. But Andrew in Toronto, you prefer to use the self-checkout?
Yeah, hi. First time calling actually. Yeah, I was hearing,
what company do you work
on the
for?
radio, and I think self-checkout's actually fast. Even at Dollarama, when there's like huge lines, I just go straight for the self-checkout.
There's a self-checkout at Dollarama. Where the fuck are you going to Dollarama?
Employees touching their merchandise.
Is that's got to be in the suburbs?
Touching their merchandise. So I don't think you know it's any safer or more sanitary either way. I think
if I'm using my bank card
in the store, like walking by, like
or at Dollarama, however you want to phrase this, it's because I got like $1.20 in my bank account.
All right. Well, you bring up some interesting points. I wasn't thinking about
I get like
the
5
cashier
items for that.
handling your stuff. And you're right, at self-checkouts, you're the only one handling your stuff. So, you know, maybe some valid points. But,
except the people that put it on the fucking shelf.
When I
What
go
the
to a
fuck
Shoppers
is
Drug
wrong
Mart,
with
I want
people?
to be able to choose for myself.
So there's actually a thing called the cootie effect, the cootie factor.
That in on some social
psychological
media
shit.
feeds, it's some different Shoppers Drug Marts around the province that people are being told to go to the self-checkouts unless they're paying with cash. What are you hearing, Mike?
Absolutely. I haven't been to Shoppers Drug Mart in ages. I went on the weekend and they actually have taken out 3 of the cashier centers and made room for self-cashiers.
That's what you call it now.
The only real person cashier was, you know where the refunds used to be?
Okay, sure.
That's it. And I personally want to go to a cashier, as the other caller said. I don't want people losing their jobs.
Right. And I also want the option to choose. And it's not like they're hurting for cash. It's not like they have to make cutbacks at this point. They're doing okay.
Well, there's no option to choose if the cashier register is not there anymore. And that's what's happened at Meadowvale.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much, Mike. All right, we're going to wrap that up because I have to get to a guest that's coming up in the next segment.
I feel emptier.
It's Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. And let's take a look at the drive. 640 Toronto shopper traffic. Here's Richard Martin.
Touché un peu pour vrai John Le Carré également. Et donc, dans le cas de...
Faster.
One part hot Toronto sun.
I gotta put like it so how do I put like a negative, like a retroactive? I gotta put a timestamp that says skip the next 10 minutes. Oh, first word. This is what people are arguing about. They really believe using the bank card and making everybody go. So what they do is they set up a line that goes serpentine. So everybody has to pass by everybody repeatedly. And then they purposely guide the line to go up one of the aisles. You can't get away from people. Oh yeah, I meant to say like 3 different times. Freshco doesn't do that. Freshco is like business as usual. Freshco's got like this military mindset because they're from Parkdale too, or from real close to Parkdale, out here in the West End. They don't fuck around. They've got, I noticed things about infrastructure and such. They've got these doors, these gates on the outside of the doors. I think they're 4 feet by 8 feet, I think each one. They're iron bars, vertical bars. When the doors are shut, there's a gap in the middle. And so it's 2 sections of vertical bars to make it harder to get through. You got to cut 4 times instead of 2. And it's big enough that you can slide pizzas through it. They're prepared to stay in there. Like even if all the food was gone, they're prepared to stay in there. Does your security storm door, that's the proper name for it, does your security storm door have a slot for pizza, or is it just straight vertical bars? You're going to have to open that fucking thing to get food, and that's when the zombies are going to rush you. I keep hoping there's like a garbage can on the 401 or something.
For all your personal and corporate tax accounting needs, call Mark Feldstein and Associates Chartered Professional Accountants. Visit markfeldstein.ca, markfeldstein.ca. Let's get a look at your extended forecast now with Jill Taylor.
How do you spell
We've
that?
got another day with high heat and humidity. Heat warning continues. Just a slight chance, though, of a shower. Isolated thunderstorm. We'll have a gusty southwest wind today. Guaranteed high 31.
They didn't say nothing about, we didn't get the forecast. We got the current condition. Shit, I did mean to get the forecast. I don't give a fuck if it rains. Those storm drains will be good for like 24 inches of water, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not all in 1 hour, but I've tried to bring you useful shit, and I didn't find much use. I don't know. These are things I knew, or like I was aware of a lot of these issues. That obviously not the guy that killed the people today. That happened this morning. I found out 10 minutes before you did. Don't worry. It's not a pleasant thing. That shit happens in this province. That happens all the fucking time. In other provinces too. In this country, it happens all the fucking time, and these motherfuckers end up getting off with nothing. Mark Muzo or some shit. You know what? I'm gonna just press play and see what comes up.
Bye. My mother was infamous. We used to sell a pack of white girls. We called ditzy chicks. Straight rising in it for rap. It's indigenous, like none of your rhymes is hard. I see the impotence. Told me I'm the best in the city, and I agree. And this ain't nothing new. This since AJ and Free, since DMX and Eve, Suge Knight in '93. Recognize the legacy. They took my time with no clemency. Don't compare me to these niggas that got bitch tendencies. Miley shot the chef, fuck Charlie shot the deputy. Put your boy in the box, it's like he got a penalty. Blue eyes with no blonde hair. You see the color shit. Call me motherfucker, man, I smoked the bitch on Mother's Day. Dying for the set, nigga never have regrets. And never have remorse, but had work like a choice. You niggas hoarse, feeling like you up till we score. Bombing out with more grenades and Jersey Shore. See me on the lake shore, ride a 150 in the 60. So if I crash, oh God with me. Swear like none of you niggas is fucking with me. I was selling work back when Bobby was fucking with me. We been posting guns since Kevin was fucking Britney. My words like AJ versus rolling 60s, Nipsey. Hustle my nigga like they ain't want you to. I told Leia suck her mom, don't ask me who I'm talking to. Remember when they changing up your voice to make a mock of you? It's how you get your son snatched when he got his walking school. It's that gangster music, enough to less. But so many shots at the barrel getting stressed. I rep the shit so hard to see my life is sounding blessed. And still I watch this game like a rap, boy, don't even test. Like who was savage with this butchery? This devil was pushed by a fire pit and I pushed through it. Nigga, I'm the best with these lyrics, you never took it. But to resurrect the prodigy that have you shook again. Again, the hook isn't needed, I hope you see it. She looking right and you fit it. The children come and you feed it. Attitude, you can leave it. We did it all again, but slightly different, it's your remix. Girl, the fly is a G6. Keep me out your mentions. 40 cal Glock 27. When it's licking it, dead him.
So everywhere else in Canada is going crazy with virus numbers, and we're reducing the test numbers. Magically, our numbers are down.
I grind hard so my ankle is swollen. I got the blink pad, whipping up the ocean. Magic tricks, watch me turn crack into golden. Make it vanish and bounce back like a rolling. Who they like to say that I fell off? I'm the hardest out, they just mad cause I show up. Call them out, put us over the rear in the detox. Start off 3 shots, jokes like the tip-ups. Got some young dogs who will slice off your dread
them knock on his block like a laptop. Ladder in the clock, like I'm trying to climb a rooftop. I was on the cold block, you was on the seesaw. Nozzle on the burner, hole bigger than a meatball. Bullets like craters, you don't want to hear a launch off. I'm shooting all neighbors, all the neighborhood dogs. Anything walking on your block is getting all out. It's rolled on, I know that you heard of him. So be calm, I'm on them with the burner thing. I'm in a bitch and a whip that's a ribbon. You don't want my body strapped up in a turban. I'm writing up, we're writing up. They're hiding up, till I run up where they're lurking. Put bodies into hearses, driving up to churches. These niggas getting girded like old lady purses. Fuck a comment, I run up in person. Bullets like comets on fire when they burn it. He gon' need an angel, surgeons can't save it. Gripping on their hammer every time my car drives in. I ain't gonna slip again, plus I'm impatient. Member of the other side.
Oh, by the way, this shouldn't be stabbing
When you see the heart fly, heart starts to race it. I don't need to testify, but I don't write statements. Trapping with a double O, and he's no agent. He's ancient in Colombia. A lot of niggas racing. Once I seen the forfeit, forgot about the deuce. I love getting close. I ain't really with the chasing. I ain't going around like Freddy versus Jason. First altercation, I'll shake then I'll wake up. Birds, no pigeons. Watching for the pagans. A lot of niggas listen, same niggas who be written it. It's rolled on. I know that you heard of it. So be calm, run up on them with the burner thing. I'm in a bitch and a whip that's a ribbon. You don't want my molly strapped up in a turban. I'm writing up. We're writing up. They're hiding up till I run up on her lurking. Bodies into hearses, driving up to churches. These niggas getting girded like old lady purses. Flip it till it's pudding. Shock it with the ice cold. Hang it out to dry, knock it off, then you reload. Don't forget the street code. Even the police know niggas who be snitching and not listening their own home. With their own weapon like they blew away their own.
Julo, get them racks.
Reaction. What? 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 Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. One goddamn minute. Wait. Hold up, wait a minute. Wait. Start shit that I finished. Hard head on this. Diamonds on my wrist, listen. Nigga like the future minutes. Wait a minute. 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 Start shit that I finished. Hard head on this. Diamonds on my wrist, listen. Nigga like the future minutes. Few keys in the rental. Your bitch know to give me mental. Brains out of play, no get.
Iceberg Simpson. Iceberg Simpson. Chill. Iceberg Simpson. Sitting naked, sipping drink in my song. Only fuck with hoes who rock those single bonds. What those
revolutionaries.
Those were all the lyrics.
Being targeted, word up, man. Being hunted. All black men beware, but we will not be the
prey. If I sat up front of the Dolce & Gabbana store smoking weed listening to that, they would arrest me.
You gotta be smart.
Weather. This is 680 News.
Not real news. 680 News. You know.
And I'm Steve Roberts. Here's what's making news this hour.
The province is reporting the lowest daily case count since the fall. The same day, more Ontarians are eligible for their second shot. A possibility Ontario could move into the first step of reopening this Friday with the Premier's cabinet meeting.
Please, let's do it, Kevin. Vote me for mayor. Taking helicopters down with a little laser. In the cannon, I'm holding bigger than fucking mega. Yaga, the liquor for the shots to make you stagger. For my little brother, it's like he loves my partners. Real black boy, brown baby, y'all box right. With this empire, it's nothing like Russia. These are enemy lines, nobody can cross it. I'm a rappers and in a battle with four clips like a bitch's wig stick shit. Murder gang sick shit. Got me reading the words of my victim lipsticks. Fuck. Kitchen sink murders. Niggas know I'm running through the streets of beef. Like the hamburger with the burner. No food surfing. Yeah, still M3G repping. Yeah, sitting in the vehicle. Plotting on people. Taking your prized possession like a reaper. Kneeling with the hammer. Call it Tim Tebow. Holding on the hammer. Call it Home Depot. Everything I'm doing is illegal.
I guess you know. Real hip hop shit. I guess you know. Shit symphony. Because I'm just a rapper. Yo. Yeah, I guess you know. I'm at the drug lab trying to figure out my next move. I gotta make this raw street hop breakthrough. This criminology rap, this slash fake crews. I get sanity that make front page news. I'm the head trauma that makes your Scarface bruise. MCs nowadays lose with bars they use. There's a war between heaven and hell. Which do you choose? No matter what side homes, you gotta pay dues. My central intelligence was birthed in my residence in downtown tenements with criminal elements, man. I live my life while the wicked try edit it. My brain's more fucked up than Joyce with a stem in it. The weak shit, I'm dead in it. All for the cause, all be crucifying your lies. Live on the Jesus cross. We hold our own court when truth is the judge. I got hollow jurors that give out guilty verdicts. It's words that I live by. One day I might die by. Make my mom cry. Will this shit get worse for me? The CIA murdered me for talking in third degree state of emergency. These words that I live by. One day I might die by. Make my mom cry. Will this shit get worse for me? The CIA murdered me for talking in third degree state of emergency. To make the world panic more than gang faggots lead masses. Go beyond banging, fuck religion. Meditate with the boys, don't ram me horns with the Jewish. I'm talking saddle with Muslims. Speak Gnostic when I walk through Jerusalem. Cleanse you. Come and swell, I drill a code of suit. We've been through the stars, seen the first name Jesus. These ain't clues, right? Truth ain't to wake the youth. Before they waste their talent, end up locked in the shoot. Come on, I'm culminating when I'm in the meridian. Illumination, fuck being an idiot. A master mason when I'm building my pyramid. Medicine man, blowing up the schools of American. I let you go tell a friend. Determination to leave my family. War across though we kill a minute man. I'm living paranoid, I think it's the end. July hit the earth wet, but I took my first breath that I live by.
Territory of the Michi-Stad Nationalbeg or the Mississaugas of the credit. So I'd love to see some kind of name that may pay homage to them in some way, or could be just again the process of figuring out together.
The less I leave my house, the more shit happens. How's that my fault?
You know, it could be a historical moment where, you know, Ryerson now being X could be seen as a leader. In terms of
you people will touch elbows, and you lean your elbow on your knee, and you wipe your hands on your knees, and you rub your face.
But also at the same time, hopefully we recognize that we got something done here that we wanted.
Geez, I like that word, reconciliation. I really hope that we get somewhere here. I think there are a lot of rights or wrongs that need to be righted. I don't know where you,
we need you to do some inaction. Stop doing what you've been doing.
Conversation's the best place, but you know, talk is cheap.
Yeah, it is. Look at you, get paid by the word, and you just give them tons and tons of words.
You know, this movement continues because it's just heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
That's why they don't like to use big words.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Sam Howden is one of the organizers of X University and a member of the university's Indigenous Students Association. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll get to the skinny and get to some of the things making headlines. Stick around.
Going to the Ministry of Labor for severance advice?
Reopen. The Toronto Zoo will reopen to the public on Saturday, June the 19th. If you're a member of the zoo, you can actually...
Moins fortement, je vous dirais, mais elle a tout de même dit qu'elle était déçue du comportement. Alors, cette fin de semaine, les dirigeants d'Air Canada ont annoncé qu'ils renonçaient à leur prime, à leur bonus. Calvin Raoulescu a même dit qu'il allait reverser sa prime.
Okay, we're done with that for the moment.
One day I might die by, make my mom cry. Will this shit get worse for me? The CIA murdered me for talking in third degree state of emergency. These words that I live by. One day I might die by, make my mom cry.
They use ground penetrating radar every day with sewer pipes and so forth, gas pipes and
emergency. We dealing with a system designed to confuse niggas' minds, and it's worse when the people divide. Fighting titans, ruling the earth's tyrants, evil alliance, trying to find us and changing the ancient God sciences. Instead of taking knowledge and applying it, the devils were birthed the knowledge and gave us the spell of Leviathan. God became dog, me and the dog star, represented by a lupus and my losing, y'all. I hope y'all ready for war. I'll be busting till the trumpets blow to signify the emperor's song. With a tin of canteen in a chrome 4-4. Not dealing with man's rituals, but with God's laws. And I know I'm on the list for the things that I spit. The government act as if the artists are terrorists. They terribly pissed because the kids listen to this.
The Constantine Report.
And get influenced by the music so they can't tell them shit. This is rebel music, nigga, raise your fist. The words that I speak, a nigga live and die by this. I'm just a poet with an ancient soul. A master teacher that knows how to break down and speak in code.
Words that I live by, one day I might die by. Make my mom cry. Will this shit get worse for me? The CIA murdered me for talking in third degree in state of emergency. These words that I live.
Even no press conference about this guy that got arrested. Weird.
You already know what it is.
Damn it.
Oh,
damn it.
Yeah. Broadside is official, banging out an issue. Just got fucked, waiting on the whistle. My track bangs loud like a pistol. One bullet turn a nigga to a cripple. Mind's not stable, body's not able to hold it. So I ease down with the potion. Hit you with the hit, no, I turn right open. Nobody slaps, slapping in the full clap. Head wide open, barrel still smoking. Don't get close when we're in motion. From the day I drop my flow, it got stolen. Young niggas, drunk niggas, crazy like the omen. Leave your wide open, gushing out organs. Live niggas riding up 7 in the morning. Catch a Riley on it, walk a right on it. Knock him out his legs, his leg, and his Jordan. They don't got strength cause they fighting just to earn it. They don't got bridges in my city cause they burned them. We feel white cheese, you didn't hire for the murder. Put a fucking cheese on your life like a shirt.
Niggas say this, calling me a cobra. Me, I'm just a general, defending my soldiers. Yes, I'm rocking that shit like a controller.
Means is a finish. This is just a start, but it is a powerful start. Meanwhile, the Catholic Church is pushing back against the federal government, saying its position is unfair and not based on facts, amid calls for the church to release its documents on residential schools.
Here comes
In
finger
response,
pointing.
the Prime
Canadian
Minister's office
politics.
says it stands by the Prime Minister's comments Friday, calling for a
It's
papal apology and for the church to release documents, even suggesting court action may be on the table. Over the weekend, the Pope expressed sorrow, but offered no formal apology. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
And now the 680 News Shot Spotter. Plenty of pop-up options in
Tell us
Toronto
where the
today.
shots
Looking to
were
get their
spotted.
first COVID vaccine. Scarborough
They were
Health
going to put in
Network is
this
hosting a pop-up
RoboCop
clinic
system
at
to
the
automatically
Scarborough
report
Storefront,
gunfire.
which is on Lawrence near Galloway Road. And Downsview
So
He's a big act. He's one of the biggest acts in the world right now, and to have him open up the show.
I'll never know who it is.
Me, I'm just a general, defending my soldiers. It's all the work, that shit like a controller.
Niggas lying, say they riding in a hat. Tiring up on these niggas for the scotch. If I let it clap, he ain't never coming back. I was that drunk, I ain't never going back. Take a walk on my block, it's haunted. I'm walking to the block. Every nigga's clock stick, done by the boxes. Houses like trenches, 80-year-old men buying work with their pension. I remember running from detention, now running from the bullpen and the West detention. 24 kg.
I live amongst the wild, the hungry and the foul. When they see me in the streets, all I do is smile. Can't stop, gotta keep it moving. Can't stop, gotta keep it moving. The hustle and the grind, the money on my mind. Some truths to hide it, I gotta let it shine. Can't stop, gotta keep it moving. Can't stop, gotta keep it
moving. Goes by Feist. I think we're getting a humanitarian award.
And award from given to them by Getty Lee and Alex Lyson Rush, and it struck me in that moment that
how come Rush isn't getting a humanitarian
are
award?
missing their hearts, right? Neil Peart and Gord Downey are gone now, and to have Rush and Tragically Hip is standing there in Massey Hall and not whole anymore, either of them. And
it's not the topic of discussion. Still bring it back onto the what's this humanitarian award?
Rush, to have the lyrics, philosophers and plowmen.
So I'd be a little bit more disappointed.
And I think that Gord Downey's lyrics spoke to, and that was always something they said coming out of Kingston. Gord Downey's lyrics spoke to the professors and the pointy heads in the university, but also the blue collar workers of that town as well. And I think that it's great, and they've done so much work for any number of causes, from clean water. Mark Matson, who's a regular on our show, was part of the Juno, talking about Gord Downey, talking about the HIP, and talking about how they have helped push for clean water, and also just going all the way to what Gord did in the last year.
Hey, they pointed out there was a drug crisis in the suburbs in the 80s. You guys didn't listen.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm sure that I'm not alone on this, but I immediately wondered what would Gord say when we got the news.
He would change the station.
For today, the guaranteed high, 31.
Right now in downtown Toronto, we have a mix of sun and cloud. It is 27 degrees, a humid index of 33. Over at Pearson Airport, it's mostly cloudy now, 30 degrees.
Incredible.
In this with, in a really thoughtful way, in an artistic way, in a beautiful way. And I wish he was around to talk about it, because I think his work.
So what's happening with Suncor Energy?
So maybe you guys can keep it above the 20,000 mark until we get the closing bell here. But taking a look, it seems to be a selling day on both the Bay and Wall Street.
He's asking for personal favors to hold up the stock market. What the fuck is that about?
By 13 to 4,216. When we were starting off the day, it was actually really close to maybe another record close. As for the Nasdaq, it's now back in the red, down by 7.
When we started off the day, it was close to a record close. What?
1,896.
You said it closed at a record high.
Back from its highest finish since 2018
on Friday. It's only Monday. It's only that's Canadian business.
Canadian dollar, though, is moving with gold. It is up by 9/100ths of a cent to 82.84 cents US. At the Business Center, I'm Colonel Garnish.
That's down.
Fees are all that matter. Sometimes the quest for wealth isn't so simple.
4.8 is less than 6.7 or 7.2.
Dynamic.ca/advice.
You're more than a business owner. You're a business believer.
I don't know if you notice how much advertising's targeted at business owners right now and content, but there's nothing helpful.
Feels like a victory because it is. And the comeback is
the entire hour of that entrepreneur show yesterday was just an advertisement for that guy's pizza place. That's all it was. He didn't really tell us anything. Oh, he did what we'd all love to do. He took 6 months to renovate the building that it took him forever to look for and find, and then they didn't open up. I'm slightly confused. The man said they did not reopen in Parry Sound, and then they kept saying, go to Parry Sound. I know it was yesterday. It still bothers me. That's what bothers me, not the drunk driver. I'm assuming this kid was drunk.
Scientifically proven to help improve your mileage. And now, when you come to Shell, you can get up to 100 air miles bonus miles.
We got that special gasoline. That's why we charge you more.
Toronto's news. Now, this is 680.
You have nothing for us. You have nothing.
Sunny cloud in downtown Toronto, 27 degrees with a humid index of 33. Good morning. I'm Sarah Parrish.
And I'm Steve Roberts. Here are the top stories right now.
525 new COVID cases in Ontario today. That's our lowest daily increase since September of last year. The lower number comes as more Ontarians can
How many of them are the Delta variant? Whatever the fuck.
Those age 70 and older,
again, the letter D for death.
First dose of an mRNA vaccine on or before
Mr. Nah.
Meantime, with cases continuing to trend lower, there is a possibility Ontario could move into the first step of reopening this Friday. 680 News has confirmed the Premier's cabinet is meeting right now to discuss just that. Step 1 would see patios and non-essential retail like malls reopen with capacity limits.
You're gonna fuck this up. You're gonna fuck this up again.
Time now.
We had it below 100 cases a day, and we got up to like 4,000 and change, like 4,500 or some shit. Now we're down to like 500. Not less than 100, 500. Oh, let's open everything back up again. What do you think's gonna happen if we went from less than 100 to 4,500? What the fuck do you think's gonna happen if you do this again? Oh my god! So I have nothing to listen. Yeah, they're not meeting to have like a conference that they're gonna bring us that we can all zoom into on whatever Zoom. They're meeting now as an emergency to discuss reopening the province. Have we got mechanical ventilation in the 80% of schools that don't have mechanical ventilation? No. We're gonna open them up. It's fucking June, eh?
Also, what that does is it gives a vote of confidence for people who are afraid, right? And I think a lot of people probably are afraid to go on a rocket ship, but if he'll do it, then that says, I trust the mechanics of this.
I was just looking a little bit deeper into this.
Yeah, but you could be crazy and want to go out in a blaze of glory like a
going to be auctioned off. That's why we don't know who's going with them.
You don't know what kind of drugs he could get his hands on. He can get whatever drug he wants. He got the money.
Charitable Foundation, the highest bid was at $2.8 million on Monday morning in the live auction.
Yeah, but we got condos here that cost 10, 20 million.
Imagine having that.
You ain't impressing me.
Imagine. Oh, by the way, you can. Well, not that much, but 117 million. That's is it the Lottomax prize this week? Wow. They're making the draw tomorrow. So I imagine that everybody and anybody, including myself, will be buying a ticket for that.
I'm upset because now all the lottery winners are wearing masks when they claim their prizes.
They fantasize about how we
I used to always check just in case I recognize somebody from somewhere.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Yeah, we do little, we gut places and then we rebuild them. And it's kind of fun with a fun and tonic. And you think about, well, if we won 117 million, what would we buy and how would we change it?
You know, there's a show that I saw on HGTV and it's in the States and it's all lottery winners. And they do this, I forget what the show's called, but it's something like
how the lottery ruins your life.
It's not Lottery Dream House.
Yeah, I think it might be. They focus on that. So someone who's won the lottery and then they're moving into a new home. They started with nothing and then
Ryerson helped create Canada's residential school system. The university says his statue will not be restored or replaced. To these protesters.
Why are the police investigating?
It's a monument to white supremacy, and now that it's down, I mean, there's still a lot of stuff to do, a lot of footwork, but it's a tiny victory.
215 pairs of shoes have been left at the statue's
He's a reincarnation. You know that kid that was in law school that OD'd in the 70s when he was like 20? That's that kid reincarnated. He's doing the same thing again. He's done it 3 times since
by all parties in the House of Commons, a major social media and
there's no way it doesn't come down.
The top execs in Air Canada have volunteered to pay back their 2020 bonus payments. With details, here's Mike Apple of the Business Center.
Can you not just give it away or something? No, you're going to put it back to the company. What about the refunds?
Public disappointment. The president and CEO, as well as executive VPs of Air Canada, have volunteered to return their bonuses.
You want to know how I know nobody's gotten a refund? Because nobody's posted a picture of their refund check or whatever on Facebook.
To the Air Canada Foundation. The statement does not include middle
managers. They spent 4.5 hours on the phone with CRA. They snapshot that and screenshot that and put it on Facebook. That's real. 4.5 hours.
The multi-million-dollar packages handed out to the airline's executives. In April, the airline and the government agreed to that loan package that includes money to help refund passenger tickets, but also capped executive compensation
and
at
makes
$1 billion until 12 months after that loan.
Government of Canada, I guess, a shareholder in the company again.
60 seconds. We'll check
That's
in
what
with
we
traffic
need.
and weather.
680 News.
We're not already in each other's pockets.
Food deliveries, online shopping, and homeschooling. Mom, I can't log in. It never ends. We're juggling mortgage and credit cards, all without Tim's
You just
income.
start selling drugs.
You wonder how we do it? We don't. We can't afford the payments. Somebody help us.
I got a proposition for you.
Use low interest rates and
and change it all again. You've kept your business going, and every day you open your doors, online or in person, feels like a victory, because it is. And the comeback is always stronger than the setback. You're a business believer. So is UPS. Comeback stronger.
Say blood clot. Say blood clot, white boy. Just say blood clot for me, please. Just once.
Comeback strong.
I gotta tell you, boss, ever since I found out about Good Food's ready-to-cook meals that they deliver right to your door, I feel a lot less pressure when I'm working.
For less money, you could have somebody cook it for you, deliver it hot.
For the CFO for the Ontario.
Oh, and like after your food comes and you pay for it, they don't come back again trying to get you again, eh? Like these people, it's like some weird subscription shit.
This report brought to you by Lexus of Richmond Hill. New problem, a crash westbound 401 approaching the 400. All
Did he hit a rake like Wiley Coyote?
It's causing a heavy delay from Keele and the Express. It's also slowing collector lanes down in this area.
These highways look like a cartoon. Like when you drive around here, you look at it and it's like it looks like they're designed it in order for something bad to happen on purpose.
Road, and then from Kipling to the 400.
The trucks go over overpasses every so often. You're like, didn't they plan for that?
410. I called MTO about this. We got reports of fiberglass across all the lanes south 410 approaching the 407.
You know what it is now?
That's something to watch out for sure.
Well, what color? It's probably blue.
NX300 F Sport Series 1 and receive an F Sport credit
it's
up to
dust, is what it is. This guy's hitting that on purpose, eh?
With a look at the extended forecast now. Here's Jill Taylor.
Like they're tuned in listening to this.
High 31 degrees will feel more.
That's why they tell you it's in the left lane or the right lane. So you see everybody going to one side because they're all tuned into the station.
A gusty southwest wind. Tonight, the overnight low 21 degrees. For tomorrow, showers, especially for the evening. High near 28 will feel like.
I swear, I'm going to start all commercials radio, all advertising.
High near 28.
Like 120 30-second spots per hour.
The guaranteed high 31.
And right now in downtown Toronto, we have got a sun cloud mix, 27 degrees, although factor in the humidity, and it feels more like 33. Out of Pearson Airport, it's a lot warmer, 30, but feeling like 37. 680 News Time, 11:52.
Oh, right.
Honey, are you gonna finally solve that tree today?
Savaki today.
Temperature hasn't gone up in this game.
Sure.
And my car overheated, please. Check it out.
And a chicken fillet salad. Sure.
You're my hero.
Whoa. And the
hero.
I must have done something right.
It's nothing for us.
Had increasingly more notoriety as of late, that the COVID virus may have been generated in a lab. Dr. Jason Kinderchuk is professor at the University of
You waited till the last 2 minutes of the hour.
Emerging viruses. I thought he'd be best to get on to talk
He's been
about
on
this.
hold this whole hour.
Jason,
He's listening to the same show we're listening to on a handset.
Look, I don't want to feed conspiracy theorists here, but I think it's something that we can't ignore. There is a possibility that this could have been generated.
Liar.
And they say that they have strong evidence to support their
What
claim.
did she just do? It's
evidence. One relates to the nature of gain of functions research, where microbiologists tweak a virus's genome to alter its properties, and this could make it more transmissible. And the other is at the speed with which it spread in Wuhan when it first reared its head. Can you speak to, first of all, what a gain of function research actually entails?
Yeah, it's fairly straightforward, right, and somewhat ominous as well, in the sense that what you can do is you can look at the properties of different proteins or different genes that are found within a virus, and really go through mutational studies or different types of investigational analyses to see if you change the sequence of those genes or you change the sequence of those proteins, can you make a virus more or less transmissible? And does that
Why would you want to do that?
Well, part of it is to try and understand how viruses do what they do, right? So we think about something like Ebola. We have 7 genes, and it kills roughly about 50 to 60% of people that it infects. 7 genes is not a lot of genes. I mean, it's really not that complex of a virus. So a lot of those genes have multiple functions,
chromosomes,
and we don't really understand what the functions are. There are functions that are related to essentially allowing the virus to do what it does, making more copies of itself, but also with modulating or changing our immune responses. And I don't think we fully understand what that looks like. So the problem for us is that trying to develop therapies against these types of pathogens without having a full understanding of what these genes do, it unfortunately becomes a little bit of guesswork to figure out whether or not you are actually targeting the right thing. So it is about trying to kind of tease apart the Lego pieces to figure out what actually
his dissent in Plessy v. Ferguson. It consigned the nation to hundreds of years of racial strife. I mean, he says
that this the sequencing where the
mutation, whether or not you are actually targeting the right thing. So it is about trying to kind of tease apart the Lego pieces to figure out what actually the final product looks like.
So what they're saying is it's suspicious because of the gene that this the sequencing where the mutation is in this gene in COVID-19. It's on the CGG. What does that mean?
Yeah, so they're looking at a specific set of nucleotides that make up or that code for a specific amino acid, and part of it is based on the fact that the frequency that we see those nucleotides. So when we think about amino acids, they're coded for by three nucleotides in our genome. So we have basically a matrix that tells us these three nucleotides equal this specific amino acid. Well, sometimes we see that some of those three triplets of nucleotides occur in certain frequencies and sometimes in lower frequencies. Well, what we're seeing with this is that the frequency of these specific nucleotides are normally found very unoften. Is it zero? No. But is it unoften or lower in frequency than we would expect to see? Yes. So I think that's part of the question. But I would posit that nature, in particular with viruses, is complex. Mm-hmm. So when you look at something that's low frequency, again, we have to appreciate that we're not talking about zero. We're talking about something that may be uncommon, but still actually may is found in nature as well.
One key part of the theory that it could have been it could have escaped from a lab is the fact that it was highly transmissible, and that doesn't normally happen naturally with coronaviruses. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, so when we're basing this on coronaviruses, we're basing this really on the idea of what we've seen with both the original SARS coronavirus and MERS coronavirus, which weren't overly transmissible in humans. They've been in close contact, yes, but in community settings, no. But if we look back at something like 1918 flu, it came from an animal. We don't quite know which host species it came from, but it was highly transmissible. So I think trying to say, well, commonly with coronaviruses, that we don't see that they're highly transmissible. Well, not necessarily. And I think we have to also look at the fact that we haven't really seen that many coronaviruses that have emerged in humans. So our understanding of what coronaviruses do and how they do it, I would say is actually still at a relative infancy, unfortunately. So we're learning as the moments go on. And certainly I think we also have to separate this idea of lab leak from lab generation of a virus, because the two are not necessarily equal. And I think they're still likely at a far lower likelihood than the idea of natural spillover. We've just seen another. Go ahead.
Well, and also a lab leak doesn't necessarily mean it was nefarious or on purpose. Mm-hmm. Right?
No, it doesn't, right? I mean, I've worked in high containment labs, for quite a part of my research history.
How many times did your house get quarantined?
We do have, a series of reporting events for when somebody gets exposed, and if they get exposed, what happens and how you do it, and who gets notified, and how that person gets cared for. But there certainly have been accidents that have occurred in laboratories, certainly in BSL-4 laboratories at low frequency, but they have occurred. So it's not because people are nefarious. It can be because somebody simply lost concentration for a moment and did something wrong. And that's the unfortunate reality. That's why we have highly trained people that work in these labs.
Dr. Kendrachuk, unfortunately, I got to leave it at that because I've reached the end of my show. But thank you so much for joining us because I think it's an important topic to discuss since it's
who's
going on
also a perfectionist and a workaholic.
Have a great day.
That's who I want working
thanks to
in
Loretta,
these labs.
thanks to Chris, thanks to you, and we're going to hand things over to Danny Longo in the newsroom.
Thanks, Kelly. Let's head over to the roads and check on the drive with chopper traffic. Here's Lori Turcott.
Well, good afternoon. We've got a couple of things on the go right now. If you're heading out on the 401 westbound, we've got the express to collector transfers just before the 400 completely blocked for the crash. So there's a little bit of a delay in the area. You're going to find the Don Valley Parkway northbound is heavy. Eglinton 401, nothing unusual there. And city streets, we've got problems getting cleaned up. St. Clair just east of Lansdowne, lanes are blocked for the crash. Enjoy the Adventuron event at your local Subaru dealer. Shop safely this summer and enjoy rates from as low as...
Hey, we had a drive-by shooting right there, like you people don't talk about at all. I mean, there's a lot of number ones first that would have happened there. I'd be like the first person to be killed by the virus that already been infected by it twice and beat it. No, choking to death on a banana muffin while laughing at the irony and understatement of the expert talking about the virus.
Schedule. I'm Alan Carter. Are we trading one for the other? The answer after the news.
You're listening to Global News Radio 640 Toronto. This is Global News at Noon.
Good afternoon. I'm Danny Longo. This news brought to you by Northwood Mortgage. It's sunny and 26 degrees. Will we be able to sit on a patio this weekend and enjoy a beverage or two? Premier Doug Ford and his cabinet are reportedly meeting today to discuss a plan to start step one of the reopening plan early.
Health Minister Christine Elliott hinted last week that there was a possibility Ontario could enter step one of its reopening plan a
5-to-1 transmission ratio. What are you people doing?
14th, or exactly a week today, before some businesses that have been off limits since mid-April are allowed to reopen. But if Cabinet decides to go with an earlier reopening plan, the suggestion being made today is it could come into effect as soon as Friday. Stage one of reopening means restaurant patios will be allowed to open, and you could sit with up to 4 people per table. Non-essential retailers would also be able to welcome back customers at 15% capacity, and your backyard barbecue invite list could get bigger too, with up to 10 people being allowed to gather outdoors. If we get to the first stage earlier, it all means we could hit that second stage sooner, which would allow us to finally book a haircut. Sandy Salerno, Global News.
If we do reopen Friday, that would be 3 days earlier than planned, thanks to soaring vaccinations that have topped 10 million doses now, and a steady decline in case counts, down to 525 new.
So if you thought today was the first day of the week and next week they're going to open up, no, they shortened it on us. It'll be Friday. It's Monday now. Friday. That's only 4 days from now. That went from like next week, a full week from now, to 4 days. That's helpful. So if you don't, so there's a thing now in the photos and video you'll see of all the politicians. They're supposed to have long, shaggy hair, and if they don't, they're cheating.
That's emerging. There may be a need for a booster with this particular variant, and in particular with vulnerable populations like individuals who may not mount the same degree of an immune response. That could be people on the older end of the spectrum or people with medical conditions that just put them in a position where they don't mount the same degree of an immune response. So I think we should be open-minded to that, but I don't think we have an answer to that one just yet.
Now we are already ramping up scheduled second doses with more than 1 million people in the province now fully vaccinated. With Ontario poised to loosen up some restrictions, the push is on to get people to spend their money locally once business doors reopen. The Toronto Association of Business Improvement Areas has launched a new campaign aimed at just that. By Toronto Time, stresses the need for consumers to support local businesses hit hard by the pandemic.
We don't get to
become a statistic. During the first year of the pandemic, Toronto lost close to 3,500 businesses, and the association's executive director, John Kiru, says they want to extend the life of existing businesses.
Take the opportunity. It evokes a sense of
3,500 times what? A million. Let's say 3.5. Yeah, you saw a lot of money going on down the drain here.
That hair salon that you've got, that place that you first went out on your first date, or whatever it might be.
So the expert that was on overnight, we get a feed, some federal national news feed. I smoked one too many joints and passed the fuck out. I could hear the radio. So I'm not getting up again. I wish I got it live. The expert, I think that might have been the guy, the second last one there. We're not going to get past this variant opening up, and with these vaccines and so on and so forth, it's not going to work.
New study reveals COVID-19 has been particularly hard on moms. Global News health reporter Jamie Rocker.
A new study from the Canadian Medical Association Journal showed between March and November of 2020, mental health visits during the first year after birth were up 30% than before the pandemic. The author of the study, Dr. Simone Vigod, a psychiatrist at Women's College Hospital, says a lack of in-person support played a large role.
And so they didn't have even breastfeeding clinics, peer support groups, public health nurses visiting, being able to, go and meet a group of new parents.
Despite these challenges, Vigod says access to virtual mental health care, which was up significantly compared to pre-pandemic, was a silver lining. Jamie Rocker, Global News.
President of Ryerson University says the statue of the university's namesake will not be replaced after it was pulled down by protesters. The statement from Mohammed Lashmi came after demonstrators splattered the statue with paint, then cut off its head, carried it to the lakeshore, and lowered it by rope into the water. Lashmi says he's relieved no one was hurt when the statue was brought down. Egerton Ryerson is credited as one of the architects of Canada's residential school system.
It's nowhere near the water.
People on the street about the statue and possibly renaming the school.
It was a bad time in our history, but the name of the university needs to be changed. It's associated
there was a
with
fountain
very, very bad time
right there. You could have thrown it in the fountain, and we would have got the message.
The statue had become a rallying point in Toronto following the recent discovery.
You know why they lowered it into the water? It was too heavy to just
buried
throw it
on the grounds of a former residential school in Kamloops, BC. Missed the beginning of this newscast? Use your Alexa speaker to hear Toronto's top stories on demand. Set your flash briefing to play 640 Toronto. The forecast from the Global News Weather Center, 27 with a chance of some thunderstorms this afternoon. Clearing tonight with a low of 19. Tomorrow, some showers, a high of 23. Scattered thunderstorms on Wednesday, a high of 24. It's 26 degrees in downtown Toronto. I'm Danny Longo. This is Global News Radio, 640 Toronto.
So, how's your blood pressure? Pretty good? What if I said fix their variable?
Let's bring in Patience Atuhari, who is in the capital, Kampala. Patience, first of all, what is the latest situation there with the pandemic?
Here for a second.
The situation is very worrying. We are told the hospitals are filling up. There are more cases among younger people aged between 20 to 29, 30 to 39 are getting more and more sick in large numbers. So following the president's announcement on Sunday night, today what's been happening is that schools have been closing. Parents and guardians have been picking their children from boarding schools and taking them home. And so if you moved around the capital Kampala today, you'd have seen children with their school luggage heading home. There's also a bit of a rush by people to head to their villages
you all go rushing home,
on public transport because the closure of public transport inter-district will come into effect on the 10th. So people who have business in the countryside or families to get to are also trying to get home.
So they've been given a buffer of time to get back to their home villages. And just give us an understanding of how people are feeling about these new restrictions. Is it a sense of here we go again?
People were really, I think, praying and hoping that we don't go into another lockdown because we are a very informal economy and most families depend on small businesses selling food by the roadside, selling food in the markets, motorcycle riders, which we call border boarders here. Most youth do that as business. And so people were hoping that we don't go into another complete lockdown. Fortunately, the economy generally will stay open. Hair salons, beauty parlors, hotels and lodges will stay open. Shopping arcades and malls will stay open as well. So people are a bit relieved because of that, but also
you have hair salons and we don't. What
transportation district to district that makes things difficult. It means that people can't go to the countryside beyond the 10th or cross to another district to do business or see family. So that's a little bit causing a bit of concern generally among people. And also, of course, the scaling down of weddings and burials to just 20 people. That also raises concern.
Of course. Patience, let's take a moment to hear from a couple of people who have taken the time to get in touch with us to tell us about how they're feeling about this.
Hi, hello. My name is Bakojin Patricia, and I'm a Ugandan. I live within Kampala. In terms of my work, I will need to now not go to office every day, as some of us, we are going to be operating on a schedule. So it will affect of course, my schedules. And so I will not be going to office every day. I have to stay at home. And this affects me because I have children at home who have also been sent back home. So the concentration in terms of work also, I'm a bit affected. In terms of lifestyle, when the president lifted the lockdown, they allowed the churches to resume. So I've been able to go to church, but right now, because of yesterday's announcement, I won't be able to go to church. I'll have to attend church online. But the beauty is that at the end of it all, if we can be able to contain the spread of COVID, then the better, because we need everyone alive.
My name is Dennis. I live in Kampala, Uganda, a little village called Namugongo.
And the work and my life have been affected by this lockdown, not lockdown, as many people are calling it, in ways that, for work, one, I can't travel to the workplace, which is now 18 kilometers away from where I live. As for many who live and work in far distance places in Kampala, the same is for me. I haven't had work for over a year, and I finally am about to launch my own podcast studio, and then boom, the wave hits. I am ripe in the age of the people that are most affected by this new wave. I am 32, and as of yesterday, they said that the highest new infection rates are between the ages of 20 to 40. And even more so for those between 30 and 40. So I'm right in between there, and that's how it's affecting my life. Luckily, I was able to get the first shot of the vaccine, but now with the travel restrictions, I'm not sure how other people will be able to get their vaccines. But we hope and pray that Ugandans now will take this new wave and outbreak more seriously and pay more attention to the standard operating procedures. And for those that can, that are like me, dear Ugandans, please stay at home.
Thanks to Baku and to Dennis. And Dennis there mentioning that he's been lucky enough to have the vaccine. Patients, back to you. The Ministry of Health there has denied speculation that hospitals in the capital Kampala have run out of COVID-19 vaccines. What do we know about the rollout?
The vaccination was rolled out in March, and initially the people that were given priority included health workers, included security forces, they included teachers, and people over 70. And then that was later revised to include people over 50. But initially there was a bit of reluctance. People were skeptical because of all the misinformation that's flying around the world regarding what effects the vaccines are alleged to have, which science has said are not that serious. So people were a bit skeptical. And then because of that, the Ministry of Health decided to actually vaccinate whoever turned up. Personally, I've already got my first jab. I'm one of over 700,000 people that have already got jabs. Some have already got their second one as well. And so there seems to be a drive by the Ministry of Health to bring the vaccine doses from the upcountry areas where cases are lower and there's less demand, and bring them to the capital and the areas around Kampala.
But you just said all those people home. So what the fuck is wrong with everybody?
Another batch of doses coming in later this week. And the president in his speech indicated that
you caught that, right? They just sent everybody home.
Some doses from China and bring them in. So the ministry insists that there will be enough vaccine doses for whoever needs them, whoever is eligible.
All these people are going to be lining up at home to get the vaccine. They're going to have it. It's in town.
The Ugandan capital, Kampala. We're going to stick with the subject of vaccine rollouts now, and we're going to Southeast Asia, where Thailand has started a long-awaited mass vaccination campaign with the aim of administering 6 million doses this month. And it comes as the country fights its third and worst wave of the coronavirus pandemic. I've been speaking to Isaria Praitongyam from BBC Thai, who explained more.
At the moment, it's basically in the middle of the third wave. But if you look at the number, it's uncomparable to what has happened in the UK, Europe, or in the US. At the moment, number of infections is still like 170,000, and the fatality is still 1,000 something cases. So, it's not massive compared to other countries. But you were right that, Thailand basically escaped
2 years ago, none of you knew what a wet market was. You didn't know where Wuhan was.
Last year. But the question is, Thailand just kicked off the mass vaccination program today. So the question is, what has happened? During last year up until now, why Thailand has just started the mass vaccination program only today? This is the question that many people have been asking the government. So even though the number of deaths is not a lot, but that shouldn't happen. So for people who live in Thailand, they don't think that people should die from this, because they were able to escape the hardest last year.
Thanks to our colleagues there at BBC Thai. As you may have heard in our news bulletin, the first new treatment for Alzheimer's for nearly 20 years has been approved by regulators in the United States. Let's speak to Bob Herman. He's a healthcare reporter for the news site Axios, and he's been speaking to us from the Chicago area covering this story.
What I mean is, who are you going to test it on? They're all fucking dead now.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, tell us what's been approved.
Just killed them off.
Yes, so the FDA approved an Alzheimer's drug marketed as Aduhelm, and the maker is Biogen, and it's the first federally approved Alzheimer's treatment in roughly 18 years. But there's a lot of controversy surrounding it because there's no conclusive evidence showing that this drug actually slows the decline of memory and brain function.
Hold on, slows
so
the decline.
What's been its journey in getting approved then? If there are these concerns, how did it come about being approved?
So the FDA issued kind of a different type of approval today. It's called an accelerated approval.
To forget
and that means it's requiring
Why
the
would I
company
want to slow down the
Biogen
process?
to
Once it
conduct a
starts,
post-approval confirmatory trial. And they're doing this to try and confirm that if there is any clinical benefit, and if there's not, then the drug would get pulled from the market.
No, it'll be an HIV/cancer drug.
Obviously, even though Biogen's required to do a new trial to test the drug, it can still sell the drug in the meantime. So it's kind of the drug's getting studied further, but it's also being sold for patients as well. Or
no, because somewhere along the way they'll find out it's good for someone else.
No, the accelerated approval program is it's very limited. It doesn't happen often.
How much can I buy in one purchase over the counter in Mexico?
A few years ago, another drug maker got a drug approved, a cancer drug approved through this type of regulatory pathway. Did the confirmatory trial after and it proved that the drug actually didn't work at all, and so it had to be removed. But in the meantime, the drug generated $500 million. So it's very controversial in that it allows a drug to go out there and for patients to get it, but there's no conclusive evidence that it works, and that's the big issue with this accelerated.
They hate me on the psych ward because I asked lots of questions.
And then I imagine it then needs to do another trial after approval. This isn't the end of that journey by far.
Right, so this confirmatory trial will start.
I saw Rude Awakening.
We don't know when.
I'm playing
and
you motherfuckers.
That will be kind of the marker.
You're gonna lock me up and put me on drugs. You're not giving me the cheap shit.
Open to everyone going forward, or if it'll have to be removed at some point.
But let's not lose sight of the fact that Alzheimer's disease is the 6th leading cause of death in the US. I'm reading. This impacts a lot of people and their families.
Absolutely, I think that's why this has generated such emotions on both sides. I mean, when you're talking about Alzheimer's, there's at least here in the U.S. 6 million people with the disease. It's a debilitating disease. You know, it just really ruins cognition and brain function. So, I mean, there's just a lot of desperation for any kind of treatment to be put out there, and I think that's why there's been such a call for this. But again, I mean, if you talk to any scientist or even the FDA's own independent regulatory committee that evaluated this, none of them said that they thought that this met those standards of helping those patients. And I think that can't be lost from this, is even though there's this great demand, no one who is independent from the company or the process believes that it will actually help these patients out.
So interesting. Thank you so much for coming on, Bob. That's Bob Herman, healthcare reporter for the news
cricket
site
scores.
This is OS on the BBC World Service with Krupa Paji. We're live from the heart of the BBC newsroom in London, or rather a studio in the BBC newsroom. Let's take a look at a couple of stories being worked on by my colleagues on our tech team. Apple employees have launched a campaign to push back against the company's plans for a widespread return to the office. That's according to the news site The Verge. It follows an all-staff memo last week in which Apple boss Tim Cook said workers should be in the office at least 3 days a week by September. But according to a leaked internal letter, many wish to still work from home and believe working decisions should be left to individual teams. And how do you encourage young people to get a COVID vaccine? In the UK, online dates are being enticed by the option to display a badge on their profile showing if they've had a jab. The idea of vaccine badges on dating apps was originally launched in the US in May. Some dating apps are also including additional incentives, such as free credits or access to premium features that usually cost extra. However, there will be no way of officially verifying whether those displaying the badge have genuinely had the vaccine. There you go. COVID pushing into every realm of life.
So what if like you're trying to get a second certificate or whatever, and your buddy isn't going to get vaccinated, but you use his ID, then you go get vaccinated a third and fourth shot just to get your new profile because they deleted the old one because you're creepy or some shit. I'm being dead serious because people do that. You can't outsmart stupid.
Vaccinated larger countries, the UK, for example, where cases are rising, has Israel just managed to keep the variants out?
What?
I guess that's probably what's been happening. First of all, we managed to vaccinate large numbers of people. In fact, we got to the 80% of the eligible, in other words, the adult population, pretty quickly, very quickly. So we actually managed to control the epidemic in Israel, and also we kept the borders closed. So basically, the borders are still pretty closed. I mean, it's very. You need to be tested before you come, when you come in, and they're introducing, or they have introduced many restrictions on.
And it is pretty solid all the way from the Allen. You're going to find 401 eastbound. That's jammed now from the 427 through to the 400. It's every.
This is going to disappoint me, and so is this next one.
Festival. We haven't spoken since.
How's he doing right now?
Not good.
Engineer.
An engineer? Really? He's an engineer? Who'd know that goofball? Look at my Rongshong with pure blood. That's street mutt. He thinks he's a tiger with who as his last name. Doraemon, I say.
Miss Chow, I didn't know you watch cartoons.
I even surf the internet, and I have a QQ account.
Me too.
Ms. Zhao,
I knew that was going to disappoint me. It did not, though, so I was wrong.
Wang Ying in Shanghai. China's annual college entrance exam starts today amid tight COVID-19 protocols. In Chinese, it's called Gaokao, seen as a crucial step for high school seniors who wish to continue their academic careers. A record of over 10.8 million students are registered to take the tests, which last 2 to 3 days. More than 7,200 exam sites have been set up. Most provinces require students to monitor their health status every day for 14 consecutive days before the exam. And this marks China's second Gaokao season that's been held during the pandemic. Last year's exam was delayed by a month. China's college entrance exam season is on and is attracting nationwide attention, with the Chinese word for the all-important exam Gaokao is dominating social media. Now, companies also around the country are seeking to profit at this so-called Gaokao economy. Take a look.
Many businesses in China have found ways to profit from the nationwide college exam fever, trying to make money during this time. It's now called the Gaokao economy, and it refers to this phenomenon.
So there used to be people that would go do your test for you.
Brands. Data from e-commerce giant JD.com showed that sales for exam stationery products have doubled in May from the previous month. The platform also saw an increase of nearly 30 times in sales for traditional Chinese costume qipao. Some parents believe wearing it will bring good fortune for their children. Food and supplements are another category that saw a big jump in sales before the big day for students. Sales of meat, eggs, and milk increased by about 80% in May from April. Many companies in the hotel sector are also cashing in. They provide hourly rooms and special discounts for Gaokao candidates, many who need a quiet room to study or stay in.
Some students about to take the exam come here and have booked rooms 1 month before the test. That's because they want to familiarize themselves with the environment in advance.
The manager says that the reservation for Gaokao room takes up about 30% of their daily bookings. However, the economic benefit from the exam go beyond just that. The tourism industry may be set to benefit as well. JD says that some students...
Some students
professor of finance at Rotman School of Management. Always great to have you on, Lawrence. On first blush, will this proposal do what it is intended to do?
So do you think for 1 minute that 7 countries can determine a global minimum tax? There's more than 7 countries in the world. So this is just an agreement between 7 countries that wish to generate more tax revenue. Whether that actually
190
to 20 countries or a larger group of countries, we'll have to wait and see on that. So at the moment, you have to remember that you've got 7 countries that have just decided they need another source of tax revenue, and they're going to try and get it from corporations.
So what's the play then for the smaller countries? You think of the taxation havens, you know, in the Caribbean, you know, the traditional ones. What happens with those countries?
Well, first of all, you've got to remember there's a difference between tax minimization and tax evasion. And I was listening to what you were talking about in terms of the dollar figures. Tax minimization is not illegal. We all minimize our taxes by taking into account, for example, registered retirement savings plans and arranging our plans so that we minimize our taxes. And corporations do exactly the same thing. So tax minimization is perfectly legal. And a large number of amount of those dollars that you're referring to are simply prudent financial planning, tax minimization. Tax evasion, of course, is illegal. So when we talk about Barbados or the Seychelles or or other areas like that, or wealthy individuals using tax havens, we're really talking about tax evasion.
Broke-ass people with a lot of shit to run from.
And everybody clearly wants to catch people and corporations that are illegally diverting money into an area and avoiding taxes. But this isn't really about tax evasion. It's about tax minimization. And with tax minimization, you essentially have some countries having lower taxes.
Canada has something called the alternative minimum tax.
Jobs. So we have relatively high tax rates in developed countries. And there are going to be some less developed countries that want to attract business. And they do it by having lower tax rates. Now, the United States in particular doesn't like this. It doesn't like American companies basically competing with British or Canadian or German companies in a low-tax environment where you have to basically all compete on the same standing. So it wants to levy higher taxes on American business and keep jobs in the United States. On the other hand, you've got the Europeans in particular who are annoyed at Google and Facebook and other operations operating in their countries and yet having no physical presence in the sense that their headquarters are normally in Dublin and the Irish are booking a large amount of profits for activity that's really occurring in other European countries. So it's a tax bargain, essentially, between the Americans who want to be able to tax.
So the UK left the European Union, but Scotland wants
outside of the United States to keep jobs in the US.
Leave the UK, but join the EU.
The Europeans want to protect American corporations that are selling services into Europe. So it's a group amongst people.
Talk to me about
that. They want to increase taxes.
Because it does, sorry to interrupt, but it does seem like there are 2 elements to it. It is the tax minimization and the trying to bring it a minimum of 15%. And then there is also this move to try and tax
even the church asked for 10. What's the government want?
So you see
15?
those things as kind of related quid pro quo between the two?
Sure, it is a quid pro quo. I mean, under Trump, he was very much opposed to Europeans taxing Google and Facebook. But under Janet Yellen, she wants to get a higher minimum tax rate in order to keep jobs in the United States. So it's a bargain between 2 groups that essentially both want to increase taxes.
We're all going to grow up and work for Facebook and Google.
And a lot of the money from the profits for Google and Facebook are actually showing up in Ireland. So we've got France and Germany as part of the EU. But this is not an EU document.
Okay, but where is the money?
So there's going to be a lot of fighting within different countries because it's going to affect their whole fiscal policy and their economic agenda of trying to attract business. So that's why I say it's a group of 7 countries, but 7 isn't global. So talk about a global minimum.
The 8th is Russia. They're not going to go along with this.
So then if we wrap it all up, you know, in a year from now, when we look back on this and like, oh yeah, that was just another announcement that sounded good, but really didn't take us anywhere.
I think you've got a lot of truth to that. It's a good photo op. I think Janet Yellen and Biden are committed to doing something like this, and this is it may be a good start, but it's going to take a lot of negotiations to actually put some teeth into this to have any real effect.
Lawrence, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on and giving us your perspective.
My pleasure. Thanks.
That is Lawrence Booth, is a professor of finance at Rockland School of Management, and you know it seems like that's a million miles up maybe from where you and I are, but it does have a real impact. It's going to have an impact on jobs in the United States. Could have an impact on jobs here. And when it comes to those tech giants and their ability to stash cash away,
that's some serious.
I think it's important that the entire world is able to try and rein those tech giants in and make them pay something, some kind of tax in the countries that they do business. All right, my name is Alan Carter. When I come back, I'm going to dig in with you. I want to get your take on, I'm assuming now that the provincial government has, yes, now officially breaking, now officially breaking after it was released by the government and then rescinded, like, oh, we broke our own embargo. We are moving into stage 1 ahead of schedule. Is that the right move? Your call on that, on the reopening plan. Is it the right move to reopen on Friday ahead of schedule? 416-870.
Models, plus an additional savings on demos. Visit MercedesBenzDurham.com. And now with the forecast, here's Joe.
I don't want no demo car. I need a car that works.
Humid, a chance of showers, isolated thunderstorms, and gusty southwest wind today. The guaranteed high 31 will feel like 38. Partly cloudy tonight, chance of showers 21.
38.
For today, the guaranteed high 31 degrees.
All right, it's a hot and sticky afternoon, 28 degrees in the core, feeling like 36. When you factor in the humidity, out of Pearson Airport right now, 30 degrees, but feeling like 37.
Hey, how do you motherfuckers spell core? No, the back on the inside of this say trill core.
And we have some breaking news from Queen's Park this afternoon. We are only days away from pints on a patio instead of a full week, as the Fort government announces
fuck this up again.
with reopening the economy starting this Friday.
And 680 Charlene Close joining us live now with the very latest. Charlene?
Steve, we will enter step 1 this Friday, 3 days earlier than planned. So here's what it means. Outdoor social gatherings and organized public events are allowed with up to 10 people. That also covers outdoor fitness classes, personal training, and team sport training. Restaurant patios can reopen with a maximum of 4 people per table unless you live with more people than 4. Non-essential retail gets to reopen at 15% capacity. No restrictions on what they can sell. And essential retail is bumped up to 25% capacity. Again, no restrictions on goods sold. Outdoor religious services
Can you force them to turn the ventilation on? Holy fuck, man.
The number of people that can maintain a physical distance of 2 meters. So it depends on the size of that space. Indoor
it's like the
weddings
fire
and
code.
funerals
It's a very
can have
simple
up to
calculation, I'm
15%
sure.
capacity of the particular room. Outdoor attractions like zoos, landmarks, historic sites, they're all allowed to reopen with limits to capacity. We will stay at step 1 for at least 21 days. We'll move on to step 2.
Step 1.
If the vaccine coverage rate reaches 70% of adults with 1 dose and 20% of adults for 2 doses.
Oh,
the
so that's how you're going to market
still
this
be in good
So for a year now, they've been
Check out
acting like
680
everybody
news.com
wants this
for
vaccine, and apparently not.
on what step 1 means. Reporting live, Charlene Close, 680 News. Well, here's some more good news. Ontario now looking at its lowest daily COVID case count since last fall, although testing numbers did
So that
drop
guy's lab, a
significantly.
few minutes
It comes
ago
as
there.
another group of Ontarians can
That's
start
the
looking at
Alcoholics
second-dose
Anonymous
vaccine
lab.
appointments today. 680's Michelle Morton joins us live with a closer look at the
Wants to
cases
cry,
and
but
the
he's
new
on the air,
eligibility. Michelle.
Sarah, the province is reporting 525 new daily cases today, the lowest count since September. We are now at more than a week of less than 1,000 daily cases. Toronto is
We
seeing
went from 80 to 4,500 to 500. We're still.
and York Region home to 34. Nearly 15,200 tests have been completed, 3.6% coming out positive, and 15 more people have died because of the virus. Now, as new cases continue to go down, the province has hit a new vaccine high. More than 10 million shots have been administered to date. And today that number is going to go up because more Ontarians are now eligible to book their second shot through the province. Now, if you are trying to book an appointment using the province's online portal, we are hearing the site is crashing. The province has told 680 News it'll be in touch with updates. But since Toronto Public Health has come out to say the system is overloaded and TPH is asking you to be patient and to try again at a later time, it's advising you to keep a record
every time you try is a later time. There's people sitting there hitting refresh.
If you are 70 years and older, and those who have their first Moderna or Pfizer shot on or before April 18th, you are eligible to book your second shot through the province. And to date, more than 1 million people in the province are fully vaccinated.
See how complicated they're making it. Now it's your age, your postal code, when you had the first shot, where you had the first shot. And it depends on whether you use the city system, the province's system, or the pharmacy system.
That killed several people and sent a child to hospital. Now, 680's Mark Douglas is in London this afternoon, joining us live now with the latest information. Mark?
Steve, police officers here in London are literally poking through the grass with sticks, searching for every single clue they can find. This was simply a devastating Sunday night collision here at Hyde Park and South Carriage Roads. It took 4 lives. One person died right here.
We had one adult female who was located deceased at the scene.
And Constable Sandasha Bao says 3 other people died soon after.
An adult female and an adult male were transported to hospital, as well as 2 children. Now, 1 child remains in hospital in serious condition at this time, and the other 3 individuals have sadly succumbed to their injuries.
By tonight, there'll be a GoFundMe.
From London was arrested last night, about a 15-minute drive away from
it's
here.
Probably already set up.
The cause of such a terrible collision, Bao can share no insights at this time.
Once charges are laid, once charges are sworn to, that's when we're able to share further information in relation to the incident.
An online news conference has been called for early this afternoon.
At that point, they'll be
tight-lipped
for other
More
reasons.
Details will be coming out. Reporting live in Northwest London, I'm Mark Douglas.
Well, no relief
How
just
the
yet
fuck
from
did you
these
get to
sticky
Northwest
and hot
London?
temperatures, with a heat warning still in effect for Toronto and most of the GTA.
You have the helicopter guy fly you in?
Joins us live with the latest on this weather. Moment.
Toasty weekend and toasty start to this week as well, Sarah. It's so damn hot. Milk was a bad choice. You heard Ron Burgundy. It is very hot outside right now. In fact, our meteorologist, Jill Taylor, says this heat is going to stick around for a few days
You
yet.
just did with it. Like, I'm taking this. I thought I was 2 minutes ahead. You're already done with it. Oh.
That meet the morning criteria.
Let's hear the angry callers. Angry callers.
We're almost 80% now. He also said that, and I'm just taking the other side.
80% what, the humidity?
Yeah, devil's advocate. But he also
did alligators and mosquitoes
that even though we had already hit the 60% 2 weeks ago. So it still takes 60% plus 2 weeks for the efficacy of the vaccine, and that's why we have delayed. I think the counter other argument, Adam, is that if we were to allow like a restaurant in a region where you are to open, then you're gonna get all of us clowns driving up into your area, and you're gonna drive the numbers up in your area.
We already have all you clowns up in our area. They've been coming for the last 2 months. The streets are packed. Every one of our takeout orders starts with a 416 number. They've been here for months. So to try to say that they're going to stop them, it didn't happen. The golf courses are packed with people from Toronto.
Oh, but you need the money. But
stay safe, man. Thank you. Appreciate your call. Chris is on the line. You think this is a good move? What do you think is behind this reopening a couple of days early?
Well, to me right now, to be honest with you, open or close, it doesn't. Open, yay. Close, it's the same for me. I mean, it's long because I haven't heard anybody else talking about it. But I mean, the numbers of businesses that have closed, my business, we're just hanging on and doing what we're supposed to be doing. And nobody's talking about a third round now to see us through to the end. I mean, if we open, first all that comes into me, it's got to go back out. Just to stay on par, right?
Are you worried about? I hear a lot of businesses worried about actually when we do get going again, you're going to have trouble actually finding work. Your actual workers, rather, actually, people to come in and work for you.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, between workers and just getting my skis back on water. Every dollar coming in is
trying to go back in.
And so it's going to be a working to survive, and that's
independent business
an awesome place to be at. So I'm praying that the government is going to see us through to the end here, like we're talking about. And,
I know this guy's voice.
Provide a third round of relief and keep us who are still here going.
All right, thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. Emmanuel's online too. What's your move here? What's your take on this play and open up a little bit early? What's behind it?
I need my decoder.
Hey, how are you? I think
I know his voice.
As the first caller said, it's too late. I mean, I think it's a good thing because people are tired and a lot of small business need to open. It's not too good. Doesn't look too good because they keep saying we're going to open school first and the school's going to stay closed up to September.
Yeah, what's your take on that? I mean, do you think that we traded schools for patios?
Definitely. I mean, this opening proves two things.
You can buy beer at 7 in the morning at the grocery store across the street from my house.
Look at what's been done in other provinces.
I thought I had access when I lived between a liquor store and a beer store.
People in high school can go 2 days a week, or people in elementary school, maybe the smaller kids, they can go every day. There could have been some trade-off, but now we just, did something, board to board, and the poor kids are paying for it. I mean, now it's good that he's opening because
I feel like there's a story here about the Anglophone kids beating him up.
But I think the next thing that needs to happen is Ontario. Open your eyes, and next year, vote this government out.
Really? That's what if you're going to vote them out, who are you going to vote in?
Honestly speaking, I don't know yet. I haven't made my choice, but definitely
there's the rub, my friend.
Canadian politics.
Definitely not for this conservative. Definitely not. Absolutely not.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate your call. Thanks so much. People get upset about that. They're like, well, vote this government out. I'm like, okay, so you're looking with Andrew or Premier Horvath? That's what you're like, no. When you went Premier Del Duca, well, no, I don't know. If you vote this government out, that means another government comes in. That's kind of the reality of it.
The king is dead. Long live the king.
A first-person story about the opioid crisis in the province. I really hope you stick with me. My name is Alan Carter. We're back in a moment after traffic.
But I don't like your name, and you're switching to traffic. And your traffic reports never include ladders or fiberglass or any other damn thing. Your traffic reports are boring. I want to offer roadside assistance for highway trucks in a helicopter. Yeah, nationwide. We will have jumper cables running from the helicopter to the fucking truck too. This is the opioid crisis. It's gonna be 6 minutes of commercials. Fucking. They were talking all about vaccines on this one.
Centralized system of government whereby there's a uniformly hardline regime, various powers in the system, like the judiciary, the executive, the legislative. They all have to be controlled by the hardliners.
With this context, does this election matter?
Are you promoting this? What was the previous 30 seconds?
Situation that you have with this election, which is less competitive. I'm seeing for the very first time that those opposition part of Islamic Republic who advocate for regime change, they are gaining a lot from this election. It wasn't like this. This is the very first time, at least since.
All I can think is, I wonder if they're going to do their news release thing today.
They have a better hand. And their message of boycotting the election is very popular.
So can you tell us why Iran has reached this point?
Against the backdrop of the two major protests that we saw and violence.
We can't stand this government, and they're threatening to kill us if we vote for somebody else. You should boycott. You should just not vote. Yeah, that helps. I'm wondering if they're going to do their news update thing at 1 o'clock. And then I'm wondering if any of the fucking journalists are going to ask them, what the hell is wrong with you with these variants and all this other shit, and the test numbers aren't. They're not going to run none of it. They're not going to run none of it.
It would take you 7 Saturdays to do what Shackshine can do in just a few hours.
Yeah, but we make it take 7 Saturdays because our lives suck, you motherfuckers. I don't think you understood that part of the I want to hear this opioid craze.
Every week at 4 Basics, always more.
But because the songs about selling dope are too long for this commercial break.
Dust mite allergies, you may be eligible for a clinical research study at Clientha Research. Qualified participants will be compensated up to $4,060. Visit at clientha.com. That's at clientha.com. Invest in yourself.
I do.
There was
I
a
wash
bunch
my
of
bra every
warnings the
other
last
week.
time I heard that one.
Girls by Beba. New series, Thursdays, only on W Network.
What is this?
Well, Carter radio program on Global News Radio 640 Toronto.
He hates his job too. That's what's oozing out of this show. Not a bad guy. He just hates his job.
Winds down and we find our way out of this problem and this disaster. We have a concurrent disaster unfolding, and that is the opioid epidemic continues to get worse. We have numbers in from Toronto Public Health that show that in January of 2021, we saw the highest number of fatal overdose calls ever recorded in a month. And they had 38 lives lost in this city. On May the 5th, 5 people died of a suspected opioid overdose in the city of Toronto. That is, 5 people died on May 5th in a single day. Opioid toxicity deaths were up
5. Thank you. That's very fucking, that speaks to me, but it makes me sound schizophrenic if I explain it.
And for so many people, the on-ramp to opioid addiction,
doctors,
lies in the management of pain. People that go to doctors,
very astute,
seek relief for any number of kinds of issues. And then the next thing you know, they're hooked. And we have seen that time and time again. My next guest lost his daughter at the age of 37 to opioids.
Fuck's sakes.
Rennie Sutens is the former progressive conservative MP under Brian Mulroney way back in the day, and I'm pleased to welcome him to the program.
Fuck you!
Hello and welcome.
Thanks for having me, Alan.
Can we just begin with the stigma that I think still exists out there about opioid users and how people, as I mentioned, on-ramp. Can you tell me a little bit about your daughter's
It's because they're banned for the sins of their fathers, apparently.
A very active
Can I get banned from
adult.
YouTube for saying that?
Facebook,
yes, but
on a kind of a social baseball team with a bunch of other similarly aged adults.
Surgeon General's warning us to cause lung cancer.
Very familiar with the SAP program for inventory control and scheduling and so on, and really had things well in order. She had her own house, had her own pets.
3 doctors, 4 pharmacists,
and
5 signatures.
I guess during one of her baseball days, back when she was about 30 years old, she severely hurt her leg. And it didn't require a lot, but there was a lot of pain associated with it. So the doctor prescribed Percocet, and she was hooked.
Of course she was. Percocet.
She wasn't. The typical.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was.
So we say person on the street who you think is using drugs. You got a
you don't know what I think.
Reasonable education. Had life going along.
No, see, this is why your fucking kid died, because you're a piece of shit.
Being hooked through her own determination, and ended up being free of Percocet. And I guess Naloxone, the drug that they prescribe to get you off these things, she even managed to cure herself.
He said, I guess, and almost said Naloxone. That's not what it is.
That must have been a difficult thing to have done.
It really was. And when she went into the
not as hard as quitting smoking cigarettes
rehab program after the next event, even the people running the program said, you got off that on your own, good for you. And that was a plus for her to get into the rehab program that she went into. Unfortunately, Emily developed thyroid cancer after she got off the first event, and again they did some surgery and prescribed drugs, and lo and behold, she was back on
it.
So they caught also that, if I remember correctly, all three major political parties giving out cocaine to get kids on fucking tour buses for the campaign back in like 2000
to try to control it.
Or something, 2005, 2006.
Didn't really fully talk to us, her parents, about it, but certainly did talk to her siblings about it. It was kind of a
bullshit
stigmatism that she didn't necessarily want to talk about publicly, but the end result of it, she lost her job, and I think it was because of that. I mean, nobody's ever said that, but you know, if I were the employer, I guess I'd look at it seriously. And so she went into rehab.
Remember, that's illegal.
Struggling for a few months.
Being addicted to drugs is a disability. You can't fire somebody for that unless they're doing drugs at work. It's a different story.
They said to her, "Come in after Christmas," and she said, "No, I want to come in before Christmas." Went in, great program, to be fair, and came out of the program. She was a new Emily. Unfortunately, maybe came out a week too soon, or who knows. She was gone 3 days after she came out and took, I guess, something laced with fentanyl, and that was it. And in your run up to, you know, what was being reported in Toronto, the week Emily died, there were 4 similar cases in Durham where people had taken what they thought was,
that's,
you know, whatever, which ended up being fentanyl.
The other thing,
this is the
they know there's fentanyl in
our streets now is the toxicity.
The other thing is they don't count all the drug overdoses all around us. In Toronto, it was this many.
Did she know she was using fentanyl, or was she seeking something else?
She was not. She thought she was taking either cocaine or ash, a white powder substance, and you know, that's what she thought. Well, I don't know what she thought she bought. You know, that was
it all has
kind of one of those things we didn't know at the end, because we really never had a chance to talk to her about, Emily, you're back on this stuff. What went on? We found out she was back on the stuff when we found her fired. It was that instantaneous.
What is your message to the levels of government? I mean, I'm just wondering what your message is and what you're hoping will change.
Well, there's a combination of things that I think need to happen. I think there needs to be more support for people who are trying to get out of the habit. And unfortunately, you know, and I say this, not boasting or anything, we were able to help Emily financially afford to go to the rehab program. I don't think that's the case.
Cutting them off to force them to clean up don't work. They go to the street, they get fentanyl, they die. How are you
greater support for people to enroll into rehab programs, and whether they're privately run or publicly run.
So she wanted to get in a week early. She got in a week early.
Went into a privately run one, and I think that you know, the cost of those things needs to be dealt with somehow. And I think there needs to be more counseling services available. Emily was really not able to get any public sector counseling of any consequence when she was struggling for that 6 months prior to her going into rehab.
Like the government of Ontario ID card.
You know, she had connections with some of the facilities in Toronto. And every time, you know, there was a communication to them, it was, well, we're booked out. You know, we'll see you in 3 months. Well, 3 months is not the answer.
I'm going to wait 38 years to find out my blood type because of you cocksuckers.
Issues that need it resolved.
What about the initial prescription and how it was dealt with in terms of doctors in the medical community?
Well, you know, clearly Emily needed some pain medication. And I suspect that Percocet is one of those things that if you take 3 or 4 pills, you might be okay. But, you know, give a larger prescription and you might not be. So I think there needs to be some real look at the delivery of these prescriptions. I mean, if there was an electronic system that said Emily has gotten 6 of these pills, and that's all she's entitled to. So regardless of what other pharmacy she might go to in Canada to get it, there's a flash that says, hey, she can't have any more of these.
That's not how it works.
We weren't involved with the doctors.
Where's this central government computer you're dreaming of, buddy?
Percocet.
You never implemented that. You stole the money
when it first happened.
Back in the 90s, you pieces, 80s.
Didn't know what. And I guess the whole world maybe didn't know just how OxyContin and Percocet and those kinds of drugs were so addictive.
I knew in 1999. So did Eminem. You guys are on a different level here, just ignoring the news.
On the second event, the same drugs that she fought against to get out of on the first event. Like it's, it seems to me with the electronic capabilities we have nowadays, there ought to be something that flashes up. I just had my second dose of
She got it from the street. It was contaminated with fentanyl. That's what killed her. Getting it from... Wow. Completely missed the point of his own daughter's death.
Isn't it possible to do the same thing with other issues?
Well, they tried that with methadone.
I really appreciate you coming.
They tried that with methadone. If you get on methadone, for some reason, it's the only prescription where your name goes on a list that's public, and it's like published to the United Nations and shit. But when you get Percocets or whatever flavor of OxyContin, Percocet active ingredient is OxyContin. It's all private.
That has $40 billion worth of operating profit a year, so it won't struggle to pay a $260 million fine. But it's partly because this was Google reacting to and working with observations made by the French Competition Authority. So Google hasn't tried to fight this. It said, okay, you think we're doing something that isn't right. We're going to change the way we're doing business. And this is all about the online advertising business, which is how online advertising is bought and sold. It's all done by computers. It's all done by different software platforms. So buyers have their own software. Sellers have their own software. There are exchanges in the middle. And what Google was accused of was rigging the market in favor of people using its own platforms via its own exchange.
Really? Because nobody else would take to do that. They're evil.
We'll talk again tomorrow.
No, we won't.
Are you or your child living with diabetes? If so, imagine life without fingerprints.
You living with diabetes.
Freestyle Libre 2 system.
On the back of the Canadian $100 bill is insulin, because it takes a few of those to get insulin.
Typical, bring auf Holster mein Video. Heute kennt mich jeder Idiot, auch Amis nehmen mir ein Risiko. Hab fast alles gesehen, was ich zum Leben brauch. Ich wollte niemals ein anderes Leben, doch das ist mein Lebenslauf. Porsche gerade gekauft, meine Nase voll Staub. Bisschen Nase geraucht, sage es laut, ja ich bin drauf. Jeder Tag wie ein Traum, sag ich dir aus, ahnst du es auch. Krass, ich hab am Boss. Habt ihr den Atem geraubt? Ich erober die Welt, nimm meine Jungs und wir fliegen davon. Mache nur was geklärt, die Endorphine, sie schießen den Kopf. Von Hotel zu Hotel, ich hab schon wieder eine Hure bestellt. Professionell, Fotos im Welt, hab so viel Geld, dass die Hose nicht hält. Ich erober die Welt. Ich erober die Welt. Ich erober die Welt.
So when I point out this thing about the GST, the $10 billion net that Toronto pays out and doesn't get back on GST, that was that dickhead and his buddies who brought that in. And I mean, it's a great name for a tax. Goods and services tax. Because what isn't goods and services? It's either a good or a service. See, I know you dickhead civilian idiots fucking everything up. But it's Monday morning, all you idiots are out for some reason, no reason, but you got to go out for some reason, and there's sirens calls every 2 fucking minutes. I'm waiting for the, there it is. I'm waiting for the one that lets me know it's not stopping here. Oh, fuck, beaches.
Ray Turkoff with Global News Radio 640 Toronto, chopper traffic.
Let go from your job? Find out everything before you sign anything. Call Lee or Samfiru.
With 60 seconds of commercials. Damn it. Oh, this is helpful. Oh, of course. I lit the joint. We're going to have non-stop problems. Just bang. Everything to do with internet problems we could possibly have, we're going to have now. And it's supposed to bother me. Yes, Mr. Up and Down has made us. We've documented shit over and over. We've documented it. Yep. We've documented this shit over and over. You're going to show me with my eyes closed 18 times while I'm looking at the photo change, right? Ugh. Why? Because I went to dare to use the fucking application. It's not on screen. No problems whatsoever to this thing, man. Oh, there's a way to fix that. Yeah, let's do it. Keep showing me my eyes closed. It's very creative, Chomo. It's very creative, Chomo.
2.8%. More than 10 million Ontarians have now received a COVID-19. A little more than 70%, within 1 million fully million doses of the Pfizer BioNTech. The only shipments due to arrive this week. Moderna shipped 500,000 doses last.
I don't know why you people are so simple-minded. I light a joint, you go fucking ape shit with whatever.
Though a detailed delivery schedule hasn't been confirmed. Now, it could lead to a second COVID-19 vaccine becoming available for teens in Canada. Moderna is asking Health Canada to approve its shot for use in those aged 12 and older.
Moderna says it is encouraged that its COVID-19 vaccine.
Why? The virus don't do nothing bad, do they? So we're back where we started. You got to do that all over again, just over and over all day long, yeah? System UI has stopped. You see how long it took you to send your fake flash message? That was in a totally different part of the operating system here. Yeah, up and down, because that's all this fucking idiot thing. So up and down and in and out. Show them up. We'll just do what I just did again until it works. I really don't care, bro. He's really destroying my fucking day by doing this. He's so creative, it goes off every hour on the hour. You know, because this psychopath fucking heard me tell a story about a wife.
But there are no plans to replace the statue. The statue on the university's campus. Intention in Toronto, but outrage grew following the discovery of the remains of 215 students at a former residential school in Kamloops.
Bans undermines the Liberal government's continued pursuit of fighting these kids in court, fighting these survivors in court. So we are hopeful that we can.
The RAM keeps filling up
people today
like
to fight for justice
for no reason. I've cleared it 4 fucking times. Just keep dumping data. Just keep dumping data. You're hilarious. You're hilarious. You're predictable as well. It's pathological, by the way. It does not make you not guilty by defect. What it does is make you so fucking defective you need to be removed.
Took place just before 9 o'clock last night on Hyde Park Road near South Carriage Road in the northwest end of London. Police say a woman was pronounced dead at the scene and 4 others were transported to hospital. A man, another woman, and a teenager have since died from their injuries. The 5th person, a child, remains in hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Police have not provided any further details on the victims. A 20-year-old London man was arrested a short time later at an intersection about a 10-minute drive away from the scene of the crash. Police say an investigation is ongoing.
We had multiple witnesses at the scene, and we are appealing to the public. If you have any information at all, if you have anything, this active and ongoing investigation.
So the fact that I can just keep starting it over and it works each time, and you have to manually do your fucking thing again. No, see, you're sending that undo, so it's not a toggle.
The forecast
not
from
a
the Global News Weather Center, key warning remains and
actually more likely it's always 0.
Tonight, low of 19. Tomorrow, some showers, a high of 23. Scattered thunderstorms on Wednesday, and a high of 24. It's 26 degrees in downtown Toronto. I'm Danny Longo. This is Global News Radio, 640 Toronto.
Like all non-essential Ontario stores, Blinds to Go is not yet open for in-person shopping, but our experts can still help you find the perfect window solution. Visit blindstogo.com for your nearest showroom and call. Booking phone orders, arranging measuring and install
for no fucking reason.
Pickup.
That's just incredible. It's incredible how that keeps happening, and no matter what inputs I give,
or for a shop at home or video consultation, visit blindstogo.com.
No matter which inputs I give GoofTube's operating system, it's getting the same inputs it always gets off the internet. It's going to show me the system UI is frozen 16 fucking times, while the system UI is doing just fine. And every time we raise this up, this idiot's going to fucking knock it down again. I'm giving it inputs. It's refusing to accept the inputs I'm giving it, except that I can keep clearing it out of the fucking, keep showing me weird fucking stretched out edited photos, guy. That's fucking great. That's your obsession. Again, the RAM is filled all the fucking way up, and we'll just do this over and fucking over till you get fucking knocked out of the internet. It's that simple. Over and over and over. This guy's hitting the I'm a pedophile fighting the righteous pedophile fight. No, see, I didn't draw the fucking bar up. You just did that. You're about to put it down again, too. And then you're going to put it up again because you think I'm lying. So is it an even number of times you send the signal or odd? Now he's not sure. That's okay. I got this fancy bar here. I told you, you do that enough times, it's not going to work. You run into idiots all the fucking time. Real life, internet, all this shit. You're not new, bro. I've been on the internet 18 months. This guy's screaming at me in the fucking coffee shop. Like, I don't know who the fuck you are. I've been on the internet like 30 fucking years, bro. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah, ignore all the inputs I give it. That's good. Keep readjusting what I'm doing.
Economy will commence this. Right. That June 11th date is
irrelevant. We're going for June 19th. Yeah, ignore the inputs over and fucking over. This is so creative, GoofTube. Fucking hell. Like, I cannot describe. I'm giving it an input, and it's undoing the input as soon as I do it. You're not nothing, bro. We've been doing this a long fucking time. You know what I'm doing. No, let me do this one. Oh, this is so creative. Keep showing me these weird frozen up, twisted up pictures. Edited pictures. You're so creative. City had spent 10 fucking minutes on that. Wow.
28 days, and then we'll reassess. And inevitably, you get close to the end point, it would be just a couple more weeks or a little bit longer. So to actually have a firm date that you can plan towards